want, I know you want it. It's always kinda funny, yeah, cause you all know I'm a superstar in the sky to lead you on. Haters gonna hate us, approve of how they love. They can bring me down, nah, nah, nah. They are jealous, a million my umbrella, yeah, they love me so. This is me, I'm so royal, and you all wanna be round. Yeah, yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion, a champion. This is me, I still on it, cause you all wanna be loved. Yeah, you all wanna be loved by a champion, a champion. Yeah, all I wanna do is just say, you don't understand how I play. I am on my way to win you over and over, yeah. Oh, you can hear my voice in your head, and you wanna hear it again. So you play it over and over and over, yeah. Hey, yeah,
Tell me lovely. Tell me you love me. Tell me lovely. Tell me you love me. Tell me lovely. Tell me love me. Tell me lovely. Tell me you love me. Tell me you love me.
Wouldn't lie to you, doesn't matter what I do. She's got a hold on me. She knows how to drive a truck, but she lets me pick her up when we're going dancing. My heart starts beating when my headlights shining on her. She's my country girl. I couldn't tell you what she's doing with me. She's so damn out of my league. She's a little bit crazy on the weekends, dancing in her red dress, and I love the way she looks in my eyes. And I'm feeling like midnight's getting closer, and I just wanna hold her in my arms till the sun comes up. She's a little bit country, yeah, she's my country girl. She's a little bit country, yeah, she's my country girl. She can let her hair down, but got her feet on the ground. I can't get enough of her. She can drive me so wild, just with that sweet smile, and there's nobody else for me. My heart starts racing every time I'm looking at her. She's my country girl. I couldn't tell you what she's doing to me. She's so damn out of my league. She's a little bit crazy on the weekends, dancing in her red dress, and I love the way she looks in my eyes. And I'm feeling like midnight's getting closer, and I just wanna hold her in my arms till the sun comes up. She's a little bit country, yeah, she's my country girl. She's a little bit country, yeah, she's my country girl. Guitar. Yeah. All right. Wouldn't lie to you. Doesn't matter what I do. She's got a hold on me. Ah. She's a little bit crazy on the weekends, dancing in her red dress, and I love the way she looks in my eyes. And I'm feeling like midnight's getting closer, and I just wanna hold her in my arms till the sun comes up.
What is up, everybody? Oh, Titan Dandy here, and not just normal Titan Dandy. This is Excited Titan Dandy because we are here to talk about Smite 2. And not just any Smite 2, Smite 2's closed Alpha 1. That is the beginning of 24/7 Smite 2, which is so exciting. All right, I'm pumped. And I'm pumped here to be joined by some people that I haven't been able to do a show with in quite a while. Some of my favorite homies here in Titan Forge Studios. We have AJ, Pawn, and Clumsy. How are y'all doing?
Let's go. Big day. It's a big day. Lots to talk about.
Whew. All right, so as I've already said, we're talking Smite 2, we're talking Closed Alpha 1, we're talking 24/7, and we're talking next week. That is next Tuesday. It is right around the corner. And oh man, I have so many things to say. So let's just start off with some information about Smite 2, because I think that'll be good to know. So this is the Dandy Reads section. So we have, I mean, I've already said most of this, right? 24/7 is coming next Tuesday for Smite 2. It is still closed alpha, so it's not completely open to everybody yet. You still will need game access to get in, but this will be happening next Tuesday. When next Tuesday, we're thinking early morning-ish times in the, the eastern part of the world, Eastern Standard type part of the world, but it'll be the morning, so look out for that next Tuesday. Now, region support. I got a list of regions here that'll be able to have full matchmaking support for this launch, and I'm gonna read that list right now. We have NA, EU, LATAM North, LATAM South, North Asia, and Oceania. Oceania? Yeah. So we have all of those ready for y'all, and we're just so excited to get this game open and get y'all in and able to play all the time. It's something we've been looking forward to since the inception of this idea, since we talked about it at Worlds, and now we are here and knocking on the door of being able to just open the doors wide. So before we dive into the show, I guess, a few other things to say. One, Patch notes should be live now or live soon, so we have a ton we are talking about today. Pull those up and go through with us, because we're not going to be able to read every single number because we want to go home to our families at some point. But it will be up for you to look over all the finer details of everything we talk about, which again is a lot. We've been cooking back here. So to move forward, I mentioned that 24/7. It's not going to have, it's not full open free to play yet. That'll be on the way. That's eventually. But you still need access to this. So if you are looking to get guaranteed access, the best way to do that is with one of the Founders Editions for Smite 2. Now, these have been for sale for a while. Founders Editions give you a variety of different gifts across 3 different levels. If you just want to get in and play the game, go with the standard Founders Edition. But if you're as excited as we are, Ultimate Founders Edition has a lot of great stuff. And, there's a lot of check marks there. You can see what they all say. Ascension passes, Ultimate Edition badges and titles, and cross-gen Tier 5 skin. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And I think this will only look more and more awesome as we get through the show today and really get into what is an Ascension Pass and what does getting 23 of those look like. There's 2 times Legacy Gems. It's just a variety of things, but not the least of which is Smite 2 guaranteed access for the platform that you purchase for. Now, I specify that because during this early access stage, the platform you choose will be the platform you play on for a while. Of course, it'll have full, cross support for all the platforms a little later in the future as we push towards free to play. But just important to note that when you choose your Founders Edition, choose the platform you intend to play on the most right off the front, just so that you have access to the game where you desire to play it for the next little bit. But either way, make sure you check these out. And also, we've heard people ask about this, and it's something that we got to work in games. You'll be able to do this next week in game. You can upgrade your Founders Edition. So if you bought it at $30 because you wanted to give it a shot, and you're like, you know what, this is awesome. I trust they're going to keep making this great. Then you're able to upgrade and still receive those upgraded perks. So of course, Founders Editions won't last forever. And as you can see at the bottom there, pre-ordering during the closed alpha period, which is where we're going. We're still in closed alpha, even in 24/7 here, is the only way to get the Kakademe and Ymir skin for Smite 2. So if you're sitting on the fence, just know there is a time limit. You still got some time. It's not like tomorrow, but, something to look at. So either way, that is the way you're going to get guaranteed access to the game. Just thought we'd start off with that. So, AJ, we got a lot of stuff coming up. We did that Dev Insight show to kind of tease some things, but how about we just give people a glimpse at the major headers of some of the stuff we're talking about today?
So we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff in detail later. I'm just going to list off a lot of it right now to give you an intro of what's on the show. And I wanted to also mention that this list I'm about to read off was specifically a result of the community feedback on the Alpha Weekend tests. So thank you to everyone who participated in those tests and left feedback and comments and filled out the surveys. We really appreciate that. Everyone who participates in the flash tests, we're still running now. Oh, yeah. You can get early looks at all this content if you pay attention to our Discord and jump in on those. Thank you so much. So I got a long list here. I'm going to read the long version.
Okay.
Make sure I list off everything.
Okay. Do it.
So here's what we've got in this 24/7 patch. These are the things we've done based on your feedback. The return of illustrated card art, environment art overhaul for style and fantasy, game-wide performance improvements, added the K-screen or ability screen, changed HUD updates in both art and layout, added 20 or more Smite 1 items, moved to Smite 2, adjusted minion knockback AI and grouping to better match Smite 1, changed many things about the itemization system and UI updates. We now have short description mode to view the item store. We have ward and consumable slots that function and use slots and consumables like they do in Smite 1. We have added starter items and starter item upgrades to Smite 2. We have adjusted the active item system to have more specific design changes and have better HUD support. And we revised the component building system, which essentially resulted in a rebalance of nearly every item in the game. We've also revised the god damage typing and scaling system, so all gods will only deal 1 type of damage, but all gods can still buy all items, and gods will be split into 3 groups: gods that scale only with strength, only intelligence, or there will still be hybrid scaling gods that can use strength and intelligence to scale their abilities. Tanks will now have a unique set of protection scaling effects on their kits, and magical and physical penetration has been reworked, removed, and replaced with just straight up penetration, so you can get that a lot more easily accessible, build different strength and intelligence combos much more easily. We've also reworked many existing mechanics to address feel issues and functionality issues and inconsistencies with Smite 1. So virtually every Smite 2 god has had a significant bug fix pass, feels pass, and just tech adjustment pass. In addition to that, we reworked many of the existing gods' visual effects for better clarity, performance, and impact, added a better LOD system that will adjust better based on your graphic settings for better performance for visual effects, and we'll be continuing to update that in the future, doing our first pass of big configurations for CPU, calculating with our particle effects emitters, and reworking many existing audio sound effects for better clarity, performance, and impact, and bringing back most of the familiar sounds from Smite 1. So that's just like the community. All of that is done in this patch.
Yeah.
And that's from your feedback. So if you want to know more about any of those things, don't worry. They will all come up as we go through the natural flow of the show. It's not really the same order we're going to go through it, but that's the stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
That's a pretty big list.
That's the stuff. That is, that was almost an entire show's worth of stuff just right there in one list. Like, that is incredible. And again,
and there's more. That's just the community feedback stuff. And then there's also
Yeah.
just big features in this update that we were just working on already. So
yeah, I was about to say, that is like the huge star next to that is just stuff that y'all told us. Like, we compiled all of that feedback, and we're like, all right, we have some time that we're going to dive into all of this, and literally made a huge bullet point. Like, I don't know if this has been said anywhere, but like, the doc that was passed to me as we were getting ready to do the show, like, all right, here's the changes. It was 42 pages. That's like a whole book. That's a
and it didn't even include everything on there, honestly.
no,
Yeah.
that's like a novella. So so thank y'all so much. Again, if y'all ever wondered, like, man, are they really getting our feedback? Oh, we are. We are. The team is working with it. So anyway, I guess the best thing to do is to just get started, because as you may have surmised, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I don't want this to be like subathon length, so we're going to dive right into it. So I guess off the top, we're getting into game modes, right? We want to talk about some of the changes we've made to the two existing game modes in Smite 2, Conquest and Arena. And again, I guess we'll start by touching on the map art rework that we talked about. So, you mentioned that the art's changing for just kind of across Smite in general. What does that mean?
We talked about this a lot on the Inside Show, so I don't want to go back through too much detail. But we did make very specific adjustments to the lighting, the general engine settings. One of the things that a lot of people were saying in the feedback was that it felt a little generic Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
So we went through and really ripped out a lot of those default effects that are in the Unreal Engine and customized them to better fit our specific style. What that's done is it really affect kind of the way things are blurred at various distances or through various environmental effects. We made the game more sharper and more colorful, more brighter through those effects. Changed the lighting on both of the maps, and just a significant, huge effort by the environment art team to rework a massive amount of mostly the Conquest map. Arena mostly got the
I know we have some screenshots
lighting
for that too, so we can pull those
and
up.
engine setting changes.
Yeah.
Conquest had the engine setting, lighting changes, and a significant amount of individual art asset changes. So this, what we're looking at here, is Alpha Weekend.
Yep.
Okay.
Old
AWE
Conquest.
4, got it.
Old Conquest wasn't bad. We had a lot of good stuff in the works, but getting the feedback about how to adjust, we have pivoted to the next screenshot.
Oh, yeah.
This is what it looks like now, right? So you get those bolder greens, brighter greens. You get a lot less kind of like noise.
Entire ground
places.
texture was changed.
Yeah.
Ground texture, lighting change, and even if you look just at Anubis himself, you can see a lot of the results of those sharpness and color effects. It was a really big effort across many, many departments to
For sure.
make it feel and look more like Smite, right? More unique, more fantastical, colorful, vibrant, powerful, the things that people have come to know and love in Smite, and not like a, Unreal demo, which, Unreal does fantastic things to get you
for
started,
sure.
but, we were getting through the alpha phase. It was time to really go down there and curate that specifically to our needs.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks incredible, and obviously, only better looking as you get into the map and start to feel your way around. So, and I mean, these screenshots are from around the Dev Insight time, right? So, I mean, y'all are continuing to work on this and continuing to go. So, it'll only get better as we continue to push forward into the future. So,
Right, here's the chaos before,
yeah, which, like you said, not bad at all.
chaos after. You'll notice there's the chaos floor. I think you'll see that better in the future screenshots. The chaos side has had a complete overhaul to be more specifically curated to chaos instead of just the tree side, just the tree color. There's been a floor color and more adjustments to the rocks. Again, it had the more clarity passes for the floor, the ground, the sharpness and the color from close and far. We got the jungle screenshots we can go through.
Yeah, if we have that, because then
Yeah.
there we go. Cool. So yeah, this is gonna be it's night and day almost a little bit.
These look really bright on the monitor we're already looking at too. So another it's completely tangential, but it looks different on everyone's monitors too, which is a really big factor nowadays too.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
you know, certain people use different settings on their computer, their graphics settings to change things like that. But you can see even just comparing the A to B. So that's why we have the A to B here, so you can really see the difference. Like you're looking on your monitor, whatever your settings are, you can really see the difference here, especially in that jungle, that ground, the trees, the sky being a lot more vibrant, and just the sharper features of the assets, even in the foreground and the background. And our FPS is a lot higher while running all this too.
Yeah, that's one thing, and I know we'll talk about that more later, but I know they've also done a lot of work to try to make the game just run more smooth.
Look at the difference before and after on that chaos side. Like that, there was a really big transformation there. Just that felt a little bit to that default dirt, which, you know, and it was the same kind of dirt as the whole map. Now it's got a specifically curated chaos grass. That's very stylized, very bold. It's like it's really nice.
It's incredible. So let's continue moving down this Conquest list, because it wasn't only the visuals that changed. We also have some changes to gameplay mechanics, along with just parts of the map, starting with stuff like towers and phoenixes, right? Like those were changed up a little bit.
That's right. We have, so the, you know, Inside Show, we didn't talk about any of the balance changes.
Yeah,
coming this
it was
patch,
just
so.
kind of an overview.
I'll take the first one, and then I can start throwing to Pun and Clumsy finally. But first off, we have towers and Phoenix adjustments. You can see all the numbers on the patch notes. We're not going to go through them all in detail here, but really the goals are harder to kill.
Yeah.
They deal more damage, and they're worth less gold. That's the combination of features we felt we were getting from the feedback. They were a little too easy to kill, too easy to dive, and they were really valuable. So you could really just snowball super hard.
Yeah.
We wanted to make that a little bit more skill testing, a little bit more risky to tower dive, take you a little bit more time investment to kill those towers, and just kind of balance out the gold gain with the rest of the map. They were really big spikes of gold. So those three changes combined, I think, should be a very positive improvement to the experience.
Awesome. Well, let's keep moving down. Layout changes. Some of the maps are a little wider, I hear, or lanes are a little wider.
That's right. Widening of the mid lane and the duo lane specifically.
Yeah.
And they're by a couple meters, which is, you know, our new Smite 2 measurements.
Yeah.
But it's noticeable. You'll feel it. It's hard to just eyeball it, but you will feel it, and it's going to feel like more familiar to Smite 1.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and to keep going, so Gold Fury also seeing some changes, specifically something about the Ancient Fury, right?
Yes, so the Ancient Fury will now spawn on the fourth time the Gold Fury spawns. So you'll kill it once, kill it twice, kill it three times. The fourth time, it'll spawn the Ancient Fury. It's going to happen every time now on the fourth time. It doesn't matter if previously one team had to kill it that many times.
Okay.
So we really didn't see the Ancient Fury very often.
Yeah.
But you'll still have to kill the Gold Fury to track your own individual Gold Fury bonuses. Those those unique new things to Smite 2 that Gold Fury gives your team for each time you kill it. You can earn those still for personal kills, but now on the fourth spawn, it'll always be an Ancient Fury. So that can happen a lot earlier in the game. That can make the Ancient Fury really valuable. And it could be a good opportunity for securing a lead or making a big comeback playing around that objective.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of some of the objectives, it seems like we're getting one back. Like oracles are coming right back from Smite.
Yeah, do we want to go in game and show off these? Do we have that during this section?
Let's do it.
Pon, why don't you go ahead and show us off this returning objective new to Smite 2.
Yep. It's also a good time to mention that we are in our dev environment, so this is not the environment that everyone will be playing on in the closed alpha. So you might see some stuff work in progress here. There might be some things that are different. Just note that not everything here is going to match exactly one-to-one with what you see. But yeah, we got the oracles. They are the tanky objective that takes a little bit more effort to kill. Often the jungler, the mid laner, or the support will roam over and help take care of these. Once you take them both out,
you got the 20-minute oracles on.
Yeah, the 20-minute no item Thanatos. It's the meta.
Oh no.
And you can see the Gold Fury on the minimap now does have the indication that this is covered in vision.
Yeah.
There is also a kind of a soft glow that indicates that the Order team has vision of this area.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Cool. So the glow is specific to which team has vision over the area?
Yeah, you'll see a kind of red glow around the area if your opponents have taken it. So the mid camp on the other side is still the like random rotating buff camp that can really impact your infamy levels if you want to prioritize it. But on this side, it will be the oracles coming back. You know, one of our most successful objectives in modern Smite. So there was a lot of requests to bring that one back, and we're happy to do it.
Yeah. Get to that in a second, Pod.
Yep.
We also have a completely new.
My second mic right now.
Right now we're good.
Well, yeah. Well, why not, right?
Yeah.
We also have a completely new objective called the Queen Naga.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Let's dive into it. What is the Queen Naga? What are we looking at here?
Clumsy, you want to go over this one for us?
So the Queen Naga spawns at 7 minutes into the match. An announcement will be played to all the players, and you'll see the mini-map icon there. And you can see the Queen Naga is really interesting because she will actually spawn at 4 different locations, 2 either on the order side, 2 on the chaos side. And once she's spawned, she'll idle for a little bit, but then start moving around between those different locations, idling again on either side. So if she spawns on order side as well, and the next time that she respawns, she'll spawn on the chaos side, so we get a little bit of that kind of that team favoring going on there. And yeah, so when she'll patrol, you'll be able to kind of pick up her aggro, start fighting, and she actually has like a dynamic leash radius. So once you start attacking underneath her health bar, you'll be able to see you have a little bit of movement. You can take the Queen Naga before she returns back to her location if she's not killed in time.
Yeah, you can see it actually, like, it's tracking essentially how far she is from when you pulled her.
Yeah, from that
so you can see as I move away, it goes down to indicate, oh, you're about to run out of range. And as you pull it closer, it indicates, oh, no, you're back basically where you originally pulled. So
That is so cool.
It's a really cool dynamic leashing type of feature.
Yep. When she's attacked, unlike some of the other monsters, she'll actually attack the closest enemy god that's going to be there. So that'll help with the kind of the leashing and
Yeah,
bouncing between
instead of having to
aggro.
reset out of the area, you just have to be closest
Yeah,
to
you
manage the aggro.
I'm gonna
You're gonna just power up a little bit.
power up just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, the really exciting thing about the Queen Naga is that when she's defeated, she drops an all-new type of jungle buff called
this
the
is exciting.
Naga Assault buff. And the Naga Assault buff, we can go into that now. So that's dropped from the Queen Naga. Whenever someone picks up the Naga Assault buff, for the duration of the buff, you actually will start spawning Naga soldiers whenever you attack an objective or a jungle boss. So we'll see that in a second.
So there is a level of a cooldown on that effect.
Yeah, and also just while we're getting to it, since we're talking about the strategy here for the Queen Naga, it's not really recommended to attempt fighting the Queen Naga by yourself, especially in the early to mid game. You're probably going to see either the jungler star, maybe the support coming in, maybe a laner or the mid laner coming to help out, but you're probably going to need about 2 people to even feel safe. And I mean, if you're paying attention to the mini map, you can see kind of when the enemies are picking her up and starting to attack. Maybe pick up a Sunder cell as well if you want to kind of confirm that a little bit better.
Yeah.
So as I get in range of this and start attacking it,
That we got some Naga soldiers
That's
going
so
on.
cool. They slither up out of the ground.
Yeah. And they
So,
can make a
yeah.
big impact on the clear speed of a objective boss, and they can tank for you.
Yeah.
you can see here that I've actually traded off entirely to them.
And,
Oh,
and
that's
they're keeping aggro. They're keeping healthy
they're-
for a little while.
Yeah.
Quite tanky.
So this Naga Assault buff, Soldier buff, will actually last for 3 minutes. So it's not a short duration thing either. You can use that to assist you with your jungle buffs. You can kind of attempt to go for your Fire Giant or, do what we're doing here and kind of almost solo it yourself, even with the 2 items at 20 minutes of the game.
Well, the extra cooldowns on just spamming my one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was looking at that as
You're
well.
cheating.
The cheats do help a little bit too. But yeah, it is a powerful buff for that exact moment. You may not be able to solo it even with Thanatos without cooldown cheats, but you will be able to attempt with less teammates. It's a powerful controlled map-wide buff that it's something that you really want to make sure that you pressure every 4 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Because what a cool buff.
A very new objective all around, and we're still gonna keep expanding on the Conquest map as we go forward with combinations of new and returning objectives. But yeah, in this patch we got a nice combination, one of each, which feels really
you
good.
have a roaming boss that has a super cool new power up.
Yeah.
So and
One of the things I was actually going to say that I only realized when reading through the patch notes myself, which makes a lot of sense, so kudos to the level designers, is so when you kill the Gold Fury 2 times, you actually get this superior leadership buff, which is an aura around you that affects your nearby allies. That will affect the Naga soldiers. So once you get that level of the Gold Fury buff, you're actually going to be having a little bit more synergy between this Naga Assault buff too, which is actually really cool to me.
We love synergy.
I love I mean, this is one of the things I've been most excited about for Smite 2 is the fact that we're going into closed alpha and we already have new mechanics like this we're playing with. Like, imagine a year, 2 years from now when we're really getting into it's just gonna get better and better. So super excited for that. And yeah, I think that's kind of it right now for the Conquest map. Plenty of changes. And again, if you want those numbers, make sure to go and check them out on the patch notes because there are specifics. We're not gonna go over every single number. Again, we have to stand up and walk at some point in the rest of our lives. But we do have more game mode to talk about. Arena, as y'all might know, was in the most recent alpha weekend and is continuing to be in Smite 2. We ain't getting rid of it. But there have been some changes to Arena. So obviously the art changed a little bit as well, but there are some in-game things that are being edited a little bit.
Yeah, if we have those screenshots for the before
Yeah,
and
for the
after arena art, we need to take a look at those.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through. We used Arena because the environment for Arena was a little bit more, I guess, stable.
Yeah.
Conquest was undergoing a lot of changes. So here you see a little bit more of the impacts of the engine and lighting changes on the map. So the art assets on this map didn't change drastically, but you can still see the results of the getting rid of that blur, bringing in that sharpness, bringing in some more color vibrancy, adjusting just there's really so many options for designing a video game, developing a video game. So yeah, I think just the before and after here without any like major art. There's some RZS overhauls. Those braziers in the middle got them kind of rose and flower elements, which help to add some pops of color in the center. It's not just the camera doing and the lighting doing all that work, but yeah, it's a big difference, right? Just with those settings before and after.
Incredible looking.
So other balance changes to Arena. First of all, the battle cry active in the ward slot has been removed because we now have traditional consumable slots, so that slot as a default ward slot doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So that's removed. We also have some adjustment to the jungle camp. They're going to be starting at Infamy level 1 instead of 3. Starting at Infamy level 3 was just a little bit too much power being thrown in at low levels. It was too volatile. We've also done some slight balance adjustments to the hot streak and the gift mechanic. We're really happy with those mechanics. They're working really well, so just some fine tuning here. The hot streak is going to be just a reduced effect, so it's not as intense, reducing the increase in damage dealt and received from 20% to 15%. And the gift duration is going to be decreased from increased from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. So a little bit of a decrease in effectiveness of the hot streaks and an increase in effectiveness in those gifts.
Yeah.
So when you're playing Arena and the crowd wants to throw you a bouquet, scoop it up.
Scoop it
at
up.
the end of the game, they like
powerful.
flood the area with them. It's really cool.
Yeah, end of game, it is so cool to see because they're just landing all over the place. You have all these red bouquets, like absolutely fun. And now they last a little longer. So as you're scooping them up, running to get the last few tickets off the enemy team, you're powered up. So, but that isn't all for Arena. It looks like we're also adding kind of, I'm not going to say a new game mode to Arena, but we're bringing AI into Arena.
Yeah, this is just a really big milestone for the game and the team in general. So in this update, you will be able to play Arena against AI-controlled bots.
Yeah.
So it's our first implementation of AI-controlled bots. It's going to be a little, it's going to be early stages. They're not going to be doing the most crazy combos and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're going to be expanding on them over time, and we wanted to have this is a good opportunity for people to learn the new characters, learn the new mechanics. If you're new to Smite or haven't played in any of the previous alpha tests, or maybe you're coming back after a long break from Smite 1, jump into Arena versus AI for your first few games, get a feel for the new items, the auto builds, the whichever god you might like the most now. It's really valuable, and we were just working on this in the QA channel this morning, but I think you will be able to also progress your mastery and your god mastery and your player account in that mode.
Really?
For now, until we future add reduced amounts or caps or whatever like that. So we don't want people to feel like they're being left out of the progress because there's so much fun things to progress in the game. For this. So
there are. So
we do plan on expanding bot modes in the future to other game modes like Conquest. It's going to take more time than Arena. Teaching bots to play Conquest is significantly more programming work than teaching them to play in Arena, right? It's like
fight in the circle.
Right. Just the team fight phase essentially is what Arena is all the time, whereas Conquest you have to teach them to lane and go different places, stuff like that. So it is places we plan to expand in the future.
Yeah, but super cool to have now, and a super cool thing to get in this early because, again, like everything, as we get this stuff in early, we're able to inquire feedback. We're able to get actionable items from the community by getting it to them this early. So really pumped for that. And now we're moving on, though. And when I think the game modes, and when I think I know the Smite community decently, I think that when people are thinking of Smite, they're thinking, all right, I want to play ranked. So I guess now's a great time to talk about ranked, and who better to join us for talking about ranked?
Our surprise guest star.
Our surprise guest star today, the one, the only, the number master, Max.
Hello.
Mic check.
I'm
mic
on
check.
the screen.
Yeah.
Mic check. Hello.
Let's
hello.
go.
Sounds good. Chat, can
Awesome.
you hear?
Max check.
It's the Max check.
What's up, guys?
Yeah,
Do
well,
you have
guys
your,
brought me in to
Max?
talk
do you have
about
your
ranked.
show notes iPad at home with you, Max?
I don't have an iPad. I have
Oh,
it
we
on
didn't
my
ship one out?
screen. I've got like
Wow.
5 things.
You got like
tell someone to send me an iPad. I'll take one.
it's in the mail. Yeah.
All right, Max. Well, why don't you take the lead on this and roll us through the bullet points, and we'll peanut
Yeah.
gallery and throw things out as we go.
Yeah, true. Take it over,
Yeah,
man.
sounds good. So we've been working on this rank mode since, I don't know, maybe when we started, like, even conceptualizing what competitive Smite 2 would look like. We've had it in front of creators and a few pros, so we've been building this out for quite a while. And kind of this first phase that we're going to move into is, like, the first part of building it out with like the more general community. So we're going to be starting Smite 2 ranked with something that we're going to call the ranked test season. And we're going to be rolling out different features over the course of the test season to like evaluate them individually. And then we can make changes as necessary to them. So we don't want to just throw a ranked mode out there and say, this is what the final version of this is. No, we want to build it out alongside people, make sure that we're building the mode like for the players. So at launch, the ranked test season will include the new rating system that we're going to be using alongside new party restrictions. And then the next features are going to be leaderboards and the role preference system, which are planned to arrive in the next few patches. And the test season is going to last like 3, 4, 5 patches as needed before we move into ranked season 0. So
And
that's
this is
kind of
going to
the timeline
be
that we're looking at for this.
available to play at server up day 1 of the
Day one,
24/7
minute one.
closed
That's-
alpha.
that's-
Minute 1, day
yeah.
1, your first queue.
That is less than a week from right now.
And there are no
is-
in-game level restrictions or god mastery restrictions or
Yeah.
anything like that. And as we get into the section more, there's much more flexible party restrictions and rank gap partying restrictions.
Yeah.
So generally,
Yeah, we'll
if
talk
you want to
about it.
play ranked, we want to let you play ranked, and you're going to be able to do that day 1, minute 1 of Smite
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
So
So
first game of Smite 2 could be a ranked game, I think, at this point. Yeah.
that's a great idea.
It
You
probably
say
will be
maybe-
for a
maybe
lot
try
of people
something,
too,
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
There'll be
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
So we've talked the test season. So let's get into that new rating system you talked about. What's the
Yeah,
new?
let's
What's
do
the
it.
Smite 2 rating system going to look like?
So the new rating system for Smite 2 is going to be called the skill rating system, or SR for short. It's a
it.
brand new system that was designed for Smite 2, and it's an all-in-one system. So in Smite 1, we had MMR and we had TP, and they were pretty disconnected, and TP gave you your rank, and MMR gave you kind of this other rank. Now this is an all-in-one system where your SR will determine the rank that you're in. And it has some pretty core features that, to compare it to either one of them, SR is a bit more like MMR than anything else. Like, it is reflective of skill. However, we had to make certain changes to it that you just can't do with like traditional MMR. So the first one is that you're going to be starting at the minimum. All players are going to start at 0 SR. Can't go lower than that. But you can go way higher than that because SR is an uncapped value. It can go only really as high as a player's skill can go. And the way that it's designed, the way that the back-end math of it works, is that it's going to be adjusting pretty quickly when it believes that you are underrated, but it won't be as punishing like on a player who, let's say you go on like a win streak for like 7 wins. It's not going to punish you for overreaching what an MMR system would be like. Oh, this person's like, no, like their variance or whatever, the math behind it wasn't fun to play with. So now we're going to let people kind of prove the math wrong, prove us wrong, go on that win streak, rank up a whole bunch. But at the top end, it is going to be rewarding players who win more, like a higher win rate over more total wins, like, period. So it's more about, at like the very top end, it's more about being the more skilled player than being like the higher volume player. Those are kind of the core features that we baked into SR. And SR will be kind of a part of the matchmaking system eventually, but right now, the first kind of iteration of this, it isn't the final intent, so we're going to be rolling out more features with matchmaking and ranked over time as well.
That's awesome, and super cool to hear kind of the back end of how that system works too. So I know with this we also have, SR obviously helps determine where you lay in the ranking systems, the usual bronze, silver, gold. So what's our new system for that look like?
Yeah. I'm not sure at what point we want to hop in game to show off some of these screens, but I can just keep talking about it as well.
If Pon can navigate to that ranked screen.
Let me make sure I don't show anything else.
Yeah.
That's the trick of
yeah,
all
yeah.
of this.
Yeah.
Trick of it all. So yeah,
So
whenever
while-
you're ready,
while
let me
Pon's
know.
navigating, yeah. So the ranked tiers and divisions, they've been kind of revamped for Smite 2.
Okay, I should be good.
In line with the Switch.
All right, let's check it out in game.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So this is the new, like, our first pass at like a ranked season screen. And you're going to see a whole bunch of ranks already on the screen. But the kind of gist is that each rank is split up into 600 SR and split into 3 divisions. So each of those are 200 SR. And I'm just going to run through all the ranks because we've added a few new ones. The new starting rank, you're gonna start at clay at 0 SR.
Yeah, so there is a clay before
Clay.
Amber.
Clay.
You're
There
ready
is
to
a
be
clay.
molded into
Yeah.
a champion.
Oh, this is perfect.
Molded into.
You are
I
molded.
I love the clay icon. I love the clay name so much.
It's
It
so
is so
good.
funny to me. But after that, yeah, you're gonna move through amber at first, and then you're gonna go through like the classic bronze at 800 SR, silver 1400, gold at 2000, platinum at 2600, and diamond at 3200. And then we're gonna kind of move into where things have switched up a bit. Obsidian is the new rank that's above diamond. It starts at 3800 SR. Master, which is now a rank that has subdivisions, is gonna start at 4400 SR. And then the final kind of two here, which we don't have visuals for quite yet, are Demigod at 5000 SR, and then Deity at I will explain. So for once you hit Demigod, there'll no longer be divisions. The only way that you're going to be separating yourself out from the competition is just higher skill rating. This is going to be really cool once we get our leaderboard system in, so that you can kind of directly compare to people. And
Yeah.
I've seen the first mock-ups for those, and they look just amazing. I'm so excited too. We were working on them just like last night. Like
Yeah.
the leaderboards are going to be so cool. But once you get into Demigod, you're going to be battling for the rank, the title of Deity, which is going to be the most prestigious rank in Smite 2. And it's going to be reserved for the top 100 players worldwide. So to earn Deity, you're going to have to gain at least 500 SR in Demigod. So right now, the kind of threshold is 5,500 SR at a minimum. And then you also have to be in the top 100 players worldwide. So once 100 players surpass that 5,500 mark, the threshold for Deity will go up. And we're going to hope to show that off once we got leaderboards and stuff going on. You'll be able to keep track of like where exactly you got to hit to reach Deity.
And with the
And, yeah, I
uncapped
can't wait to
SR,
see.
this will always be changing. There will never be locked spots or a race to do it like
Yeah.
there was in Smite 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not locked. You can always just get better. I'm really curious
Keep going.
to see
I
where
actually told everyone to get good. I love
I
it.
can't.
you know we
Some of us can't.
ran this system like directly against games that got played in Smite 1 to see how it would have shaken
Yeah.
out, and yeah, I'm curious to see how far people can get up there in Smite 2. I think the
How
best
no
that I
lifer are
saw-
people going to go on this? You know, we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that it's when you capped out in Smite 1, you know, it resulted in kind of a weird play cycle right at the top where you weren't really earning anything, you were just maintaining. So I actually think that people's like cap hasn't even really been reached yet, because, you know, in some crazy hypothetical, there's no reason that this can't go to like 10,000 SR. There's no reason you can't hit 5 digits. I don't know
9999999.
if or
Yeah.
when it will ever happen, but it's possible.
We're gonna start
and then the one
rolling
last thing
integers.
about rolling, overflow problems.
Yeah.
One of the last notes I want to make is that it's possible to derank from all ranks in Smite 2. There's a bit of a system behind it, but in Smite 1, as a lot of higher end players would know, you'd get Master and then you hold Master for the rest of the season. It's not how it's going to work in Smite 2. We are trying to invigorate the competition and make sure that you're really staying on top of your game. But the way that it's going to work is that when you reach a rank floor, so the bottom of gold, let's say, if you were to lose to fall through the bottom of gold, your first loss will put you right to the minimum. So you're going to get set to 2000 SR. And then you'll have to lose again to D rank. So you have, like, each time you hit a new rank, you've got a slight, just like the smallest little buffer to keep you in that rank. But aside from that, you absolutely can D rank out of it. And it doesn't apply to divisions, so you fall straight through gold 1, gold 2. But once you get gold 3, you do have that one game to kind of save the rank and get back up.
Gotcha.
Got it. That's cool. Yeah, a little platform for safety.
Love it.
Huh. Well, that is awesome. I love the UI behind all of this too. And again, I mean, it says so in the bottom corner, but like this is an alpha, right? So like this will only get prettier and cooler looking, which is hard to imagine because it already looks so pretty and cool. So, but there's still more to talk about. So we've talked about what the new ranking system is. So you mentioned party restrictions and the way matchmaking is going to work. So what's changing with that? Lay it on us, Max.
Yeah, matchmaking guy Max has to talk about matchmaking once again. Matchmaking.
I remember saying that to you at
Anyone
Worlds,
who
and you
says
were like,
matchmaking in chat banned.
Yeah.
Damn.
I told that to you at Worlds, and you were like, haha, don't say that.
And from Smite,
I'm
too.
sorry, I love you.
It's got it out of my control at this point, and that is
yep.
okay.
All right, well, let's dive into it. Yeah.
So yeah, as Smite 2, we're aiming to grow the competitive player base of Smite. We've talked about that quite a bit. A larger player base for the competitive scene benefits everybody from the lower end to the top end of the kind of competitive spectrum. So we brought down to start basically all the walls on party restrictions. There's really only one. So to kind of talk through reasoning before we get into it, a rank system that has fewer restrictions on parties can make ranked accessible to players who never would have played before. Some people have a group of people that they want to play with and they're not going to play without them. Let's let them try out rank. Let's let them try out competition. And then another point that I want to kind of put out there so people understand is that heavy restrictions, specifically on rank bans, encourage other undesirable behaviors like smurfing. When you have it really restricted in terms of who can play with who, there is an innate push towards stuff like smurfing. And we want to continue to take steps towards addressing that, but again, this is a part of this ranked test season. Let's try everything out. And from this period, we're going to get a lot of valuable feedback, a lot of data on the connections between ranked, matchmaking, SR, these party restrictions. We are going to take in all that feedback, and then adjustments, we're going to make them as necessary. So that's my preamble before I get into the chaos, which is that, so for size restrictions, players will be able to queue for Smite 2 ranked as a solo player or as a party of 2, 3, or 5, the only restriction being on parties of size 4. And the reason for that is that at the start, solo players will only be match-made against other solo players. Lobbies like this nature produce the highest quality games for solo players. And then parties, so 2, 3, and 5, will only be match-made against other parties. The design intent being that you're going to be the design intent is to match party sizes when possible, but this is going to maintain a communication parity between teams. 2 parties of 2 and a solo player versus all solo players, had this innate communication differences. And although we won't, there's no combination of matchmaking and party sizes that we're not going to rule out long term, but this is what we want to test. This is the ranked test season. Let's see how this feels and let's go from there. And SR is consistent whether queuing solo or party. It's just the one ranked mode, and we're going to be incorporating that into our matchmaking system. We want to handle as much stuff on our end as possible to let players just play the game and have fun. So yeah, I think I preempted this as well, but there's going to be no rank restrictions either at the start. So you can queue with a bronze player, with a platinum player. Anyone can join a party and get into parties. Parties will be, admittedly, there's going to be a lot of chaos, but there's always going to be a lot of chaos at the start of a brand new ranked mode.
For sure.
With the plan being that we're going to look at all the data. If there needs to be some restriction there, we are going to implement that. This isn't us saying forever you will always have these crazy parties that can be open range, but maybe we find ways to make it work. We're just not sure until we get the feedback and the data from that. And you can never really go back to this. So let's go day one. Let's test this out. And we're moving fast over here. I mean, we saw how much got changed from Alpha Weekend 4 to now with everything else with the game. We have the same plans with ranked. So we're gonna move fast. We're gonna get a lot of feedback, which is really exciting. But to start off, the one kind of restriction on these parties that are really wide is that we're gonna be dampening the SR gains and losses, so that the DD leaderboards and kind of players' rank journeys aren't heavily influenced by being let's do all these things with parties to kind of play the system. So, and it's affecting both wins and losses, so that if you're a high rank and you want to play with your lower ranked friends, you can do so, but if you lose, it's not really gonna affect your journey as much. So there's numbers that you can read in patch notes, but basically the wider apart your party is in terms of ranks, the less SR you will win or lose if you win or lose the game. And then if you have anyone who's over demigods, over that 5,000 threshold, competing for the top end, there's going to be immediate 50% reduction on your gains and losses if you're in a party. So at the top end, probably the best way to compete for deity will be solo queuing, which is something that we're excited to see test out, see the best players all solo queue together and see what those matches look like instead of having kind of duo queue be the determining factor at the top end. Again, these are just things that we're excited to test and get feedback on.
Yeah, I mean, this is super incredible too, and a lot of those changes that you mentioned are exciting for a variety of reasons, which you explained incredibly well. But I think my favorite is really just that dampening effect, because like dampening inherently sounds negative. You're softening the edges a little bit, but that's great for people who, like you said, like I hit the solo rank grind, I build my rank up, and then my friend who never plays is like, hey, I'm on this weekend, I want to hang out and play ranked, and instead of being like, I guess I'll hop on my Smurf account, or well, I don't want to lose all of my SR, you're able to just play with them, and if there are losses because you're showing them the ropes, or they're still getting used to the game, then it doesn't really impact you as badly, and you still get to have fun with your friend. So it's a system that promotes like being able to play with your friends when you want to, which I think is like insanely incredible.
Yeah, that's the goal. We want people to play competitive Smite. We want people to experience it. It's such a fun part of the game. I've been playing Smite, myself for 10 years, and I only started playing ranked maybe in the last 3 or 4, and me and my friends have such a good time playing it. So yeah.
That's a nice list of features there. I mean, a lot of big stuff that we've wanted for many years. Like we talked about, some things we could only do with a big change, like something like a Smite 2.
Yeah.
Hard to just patch into Smite 1. So rebuilding this whole system from the ground up was one of those things that we could really do here. So thank you so much, Max. I know the chat is super excited about all these features.
One last thing to let people know is that we've redone the ranked draft lobby.
Okay.
Sorry, I saw I picked up my iPad. I wasn't looking at it. I was just going off memory.
That was mailed
Yeah,
quick.
we redid the draft lobby UI. It's again in its first pass, but one of the kind of key features that we did is we're making it more easy to kind of quickly read whose pick it is, what picks are coming up, what bans are coming up, with the intent being like, again, you're a new player coming into like the draft mode, you don't know what the draft mode does. Let's walk you through it. And also in Smite 1, it was kind of at times difficult to know where in the order you were. Maybe you look away and like you've missed something. We're gonna really clearly map out the draft that's happening in front of you. And yes, Smite 2 ranked is gonna launch with a draft pick, and then it's gonna be 1 ban per team.
And the top player in the list will do the ban.
The top player in the list will do the bans. Yeah.
1 ban per team to start with. You got to start, like we said, start with the most open environment we can, and we'll go from there. So just 1 ban per team with 1 player doing that 1 ban.
Yeah, that makes sense considering there's like, a lot less cards than Smite 1.
Yeah.
Hey, we're getting that number up fast.
Oh, no,
quick. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get there in the future, but super awesome stuff, Max, and thank you so much for joining us for this. That was really cool.
Of course.
Yeah.
You flew me in from Canada to talk about this.
We did. We put you in a suitcase, so
exactly.
Yeah, but all right, well, awesome. So from there, we got more to talk about. I mean, I've been telling you all this forever. There's a lot in the show, and next up we have items. So items got a lot of changes. This is no small amount of change that we've made across the item system, as you might have picked up on from the read off at the top, from the little teaser list. So again, the quickest way is to just dive into it by talking about changes to what we're calling the God inventory system.
Right, and we're going to go in game and just show this off real quick because it's pretty obvious at the bottom of the HUD. And, we talked about some of this in the Inside Show, so we won't get into super detail, but consumable slots returning. You can see next to your relic, you now have 2 consumable slots. Those are going to function just like Smite 1. They're going to be hotkeyed to the same default hotkeys and controller keybinds as they would be on Smite 1. So the free ward and the cooldown ward button has been removed, and this is replacing it. And the only new item in this regard is a health chalice was added. And I will note that there's a known bug on this health chalice. It's only giving you 2 charges right now. Wow. The first charge you use isn't going to work. Or no, the third charge.
The third charge won't work.
Third charge isn't going to work. So it's only 2 charges. It's a little underpowered right now. We're sorry about that. A lot of last minute fixes coming in, but health chalice is in the game, and if you refill that many times over the game, it's still going to pay itself off.
For sure.
So yeah, that's it for consumables.
Then we're moving straight to start.
Anything to add to consumables?
Yeah, I mean,
2 regular wards, 1 sentry ward, essentially all the same rules as you're used to in Smite. Oh, another known one that is currently killing wards does not grant you gold.
Okay, gotcha.
But we will be adding that for a future patch.
Yeah, we forgot when we ordered them from the ward factory. We forgot to stuff them with gold, so it's on back order. We're getting it in there.
And for those familiar, you're coming from Smite 1. There's no current 500 pots or like that, but you do have the 3K elixirs.
Yeah, and those are still auto consume and apply to you immediately, and have infinite duration and do not reset on death. So they don't really ever take up a consumable slot right now, but they are a consumable technically. So they're there and they're unchanged from earlier alpha tests.
Rock and roll. Well, let's keep moving and talking about starter items. So we got into this a little bit in Dev Insight, but let's dive in with that.
Yeah, so the starter items are exciting because they now have a new dedicated starter slot.
Yeah.
If you look at that bottom, you can now see there is a 7-item inventory for each Smite god. So you get a starter item in addition to your 6-item slot. A lot of people were loved starter items, but there was always a debate about if it was too restrictive on builds, if it would force you into certain things, or just not being able to build a 6th item instead of the starter item would restrict certain types of strategies. So now it's going to be a 7th item. The starter items in Smite 2 are generally referencing Smite 1. They're not all exactly the same. There's a couple changes and shifts. There's a couple ones that are referencing other upgrades but having powered down forms. So I don't know if we want to get into them a little bit more detail today. Like, for example, we'll just start from the first one. Selflessness is a new starter item. It's essentially baby heroism.
Yeah.
So we wanted to implement this one instead of the Sentinels line, because Sentinel's line is kind of just revolved around being a AoE protection aura in the late game, or healing yourself a lot, which we have other starter items that do that. So heroism is a really cool, and let's say benevolence was also a very mathematical starter item that was kind of relied on minor economic advantages being the primary design purpose. So for support starter items, there's a selflessness and there's war flag. They both have the exact same economy bonuses, so assist gold, and they both have the exact same health and mana return triggers on assists. The difference is the stats and the passives. So like, do you want to be more aggressive? They might even have the same exact stats. Sorry, yeah, the same stats. Passive. It's really the passives. Do you want to be more aggressive support, or do you want to be able to give people that shield when they get CC'd?
Yeah.
Jungler items, we've now got Boomba's Golden Dagger, which we worked in that aspect from the early alpha weekends, and the Golden Shard in Smite 1 into Boomba's Dagger. So now you get that cleave. You get that little cleave effect.
Very handy.
And you get Boomba's Dagger effect. And similar to support items, the Boomba's Dagger and Boomba's Cudgel, which is a powered down Boomba's Hammer, they have the exact same bonus damage to jungle camps.
Okay.
So you can kind of pick between your damage to jungle camp bonus is effectively the same. You're picking between the passives. Do you want that cleave, or do you want this alternating single attack bonus damage cooldown reduction gameplay that you had on Boomba's Hammer?
Got it.
Conduit Gem and Sands of Time are pretty on track for Smite 1. No real changes there. So are Death's Toll and Leather Cowl. And then we got Warrior's Axe and Bluestone Pendant. Again, some minor changes in damage calculations and some things like that. Maybe the one to shout out for is Bluestone Pendant is, as everyone knows, Bluestone Pendant had some really weird dot stacking rules in Smite 1, and those have changed many times over the lifetime of Smite 1. So this current Bluestone Pendant is just the most straightforward. Like, it's just a stacking dot. There's no weird like compounding like old Bluestone had, right. And then new Season 8 plus Smite 1 Bluestone has like an actually like more punishing subsequent damage mechanic, where like if you hit twice in rapid succession, it not only puts a weaker damage over time on them, it also weakens the previous one that was on them. So that's removed. So it's pretty much just the most straightforward. Like, hit someone with one ability, do a big dot, hit them with a second or third ability, do small dots. All of those have their own durations and their own ticks, and there's all stack. Yeah. So it's like the most, what we feel like, kind of like we said with ranked and some of the others, is the most unrestricted, straightforward version of the item.
Polished version of the.
And then all these items have upgrades. They all have level requirements on the upgrades. Supports are cheaper to start with, cheaper to upgrade and lower level, but everyone else has the same rules. And generally all of the upgrades are pretty in line with the starter. They do very similar effects but powered up. So a couple that change a little more than others, like Sands of Time into Pendulum of the Ages. That one changes a little bit more as you upgrade, but most of them are pretty straightforward, in line direct upgrades. Awesome. Anything to add on those, design team?
Nope. I think you covered it.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, so trying to get in a good variety of strategies that people can build.
Yeah.
The build any item system compounds really interestingly with this in Smite 2. So these do have specific like only int or only strength starters that may not encourage you to build them in any role, but there's a little bit more role flexibility for how you might want to build these than you could in Smite 1, particularly like let's see, there's Wait, no, I can't think of a specific.
Yeah, well,
we'll talk about it later.
because
but-
they have their own item slot, though. That really helps.
Yeah,
them
that
build
too.
Big thing.
diversity.
And then, as like kind of AJ was saying before, this is kind of the start of the starter item system. We're all really excited to see how you guys take this, and we're going to be taking that feedback for all the things we've talked about today,
Yeah.
really, and kind of expanding on them.
I will never stop underlining the fact that we will always be looking for y'all's feedback. Like, it is so imperative to us. We love it. Gives us awesome action items, is what I'm going with.
Okay, so next we got to talk about the active items.
I think relic slots are what we're doing.
Sorry,
Yes.
relics are part of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, I was just debating this with Tina earlier
Yeah.
today. It's
So
like, okay.
it's an active
Relic,
effect in your
active.
item
Yes,
inventory.
exactly.
Right?
So basically, relics are they have a slot, and we're getting 2 new relics.
Right. So you only get 1 relic for free at the
Yeah.
start of the game. We'll still have that nice picker UI that comes up to help prompt and remind everyone to buy relic. If you're a pro player, you won't need that as much, but a lot of people forget to get them.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice. You'll get that 1 relic at level 1, and we've now added 2 new relics, Aegis of Acceleration and Phantom Shell.
Yes.
Classics. You know them, you love them.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure the relic options at level 1 specifically, like when you're thinking about relics versus actives, we think about them together in just how many total active effects are you going to have in your kit. That's a
Yeah.
big thing that we'll talk about soon about active items. And also, what types of effects do you need access to at specific types in the game? And the main difference between a relic and a active item is that you can get it at level 1.
Yeah. You
All the active items take the tier 3 items, and there's also the difference is the gold trade-off and item slot trade-off. So certain effects, if you might want beads, you want beads at level 1, and you also don't want to have to give up a power strength slot
Yeah.
to buy a beads item either, right? So
Yeah.
there's certain things that just work way better as relics.
That's important too, because coming from the alpha weekends, the current starter items, they do have an item cost to them. That's incorporated into the gold cost that we've now added back into the start of the games in Conquest and Arena. While the relics, they are free. They are something that we expect you to have at the beginning of the game.
That's right. And so Aegis of Acceleration was one, like, if you really need to counter some unmissable ability or some, like, Thanatos dunking you at level 5 every game, you can't wait until you build items. You can pick Aegis now, and the same for Shell if you want to counter player pass-through walls, so Ymir, Odin, etc. Or if you want to be a true support and have a relic that really just keeps your teammate from dying, and that's your number 1 focus at level 1, which is really important, especially in the duo lane.
Sure.
Now you have that option available to you, when previously you had to wait until you could build a tier 2 item. So that made a big difference.
And because they don't upgrade like starter items do, or like the relics did in Smite 1, these are slightly more of the powerful effects with longer cooldowns.
Yeah, right off the bat.
Yeah, you only get 1, and we don't currently have upgrades, so they're all supercharged. They got to compete with Combat
Yeah,
Blink.
they're good. Yeah,
So
that's
they're
the thing.
all
They've got to compete.
supercharged from level 1. And if you haven't played an alpha weekend and you're just tuning in for this show, the new Sunder relic is crazy too. So go check that one out. It's effectively Hand of the Gods and an AoE true damage over time
Yep.
fused into one. It's potent.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff to look at. But like you said, these are active items technically, so let's move into that active item system change. So things are changing with the way active items are working in Smite 2, right?
Yes. So as you'll see now, Pon just bought an active item. Previously, there was nothing on his HUD to the right side of those consumables. There was just nothing there.
Yeah.
But when he bought an active item, it now placed that active slot there. So there was a lot of debate about HUD and where to place these, and people were forgetting about them existing. We now have a very new system that just implements this for you. As soon as you buy an active item,
What a buff.
it pops up and as a new item, a new ability on your in the ability section of your HUD with the hotkey to bind it. So you're you can get a lot more visibility.
Yeah, and it's also important to note that we made sure that the first one you got was bound to what was standard the second relic in Smite 1.
Yep.
We want to make sure that the first relic, your first active item, and the 2 consumables match the keybinds that everyone is really familiar with and used to.
Right. So if you're building just one active item in your build, your keybinds will be the same as your Smite 1 keybinds for or console control schemes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and in Smite 2, we have fully rebindable buttons for consoles. You can change these if you don't like the second and third options. You can rebind them. Same for PC. But the defaults are all the way through the first active, and then the second and third actives are the new keybinds, effectively, or new button presses for everyone. And currently, we are capping each player's inventory at 3 active items. So once you already build 3 active items, you will notice you cannot build future active items anymore. There'll be a warning there. There's a warning on each active item as you buy it, I think, that tells you how many you have. Yep, you can see that go up as you go.
Nice.
And then as you approach the 3, you'll see these items will become unpurchasable. They'll be grayed out, so you can't buy them. We're really doing that as a combination of a form of balance and usability, kind of just clamping the ridiculousness that the meta could go to.
Yes, 6 active item builds.
So
Plus relics.
Plus
right,
relics.
plus the relics. So it's still significantly more active ability usage than we had in Smite 1.
Oh, yeah,
But
for sure.
through the feedback in the alpha test, it was heavily trending towards it was being overdone. So we walked that back a little bit, and this is the result. I think it plays really well. You still have a lot of really flexible build opportunity, and the whole system is just a lot more clear and curated better for making sure you know what's going on, how to use these abilities.
Yeah, it's super exciting to see, and I like the amount of clarity you get from seeing those right there on your ability bar. So moving on, continuing with items though, you mentioned at the top of the show, we are adding a bunch of items, a 20, I believe was the number you said, of new items kind of from Smite 1 into Smite 2.
It's more than that. I just don't I don't like doing exact counts because I always end up wrong because like maybe we pull an item at the last minute or like double count something or whatever. But
anytime you say something exact, karma comes in to change it a little bit. So.
But with the new, there's lots of new systems in Smite 2.
Yeah.
People getting used to strength intelligence, active items. So the new map changes, the god changes. So we wanted a strong core of familiar items. So we really we combed through Smite 1, looked for the items that had the most usage per role, tried to get a relatively even spread per role. There's a little bit, I'd say, over-indexing towards solo lane because I think Smite 2 had the smallest pool of solo lane items during the alpha weekends. So we had a little bit more solo lane items from Smite 1 and about 2 to 3 core items from every other role. There's some really exciting ones in here before I read them all off, but there's also just some exciting categories. So stacking items have returned.
Hey.
Constant requests in alpha weekend feedback for those. So Transcendence, Devourer's Gauntlet, Book of Thoth, Gauntlet of Thebes coming back. Those are kind of the big new categorical. Previously, Smite 2 didn't have any items like that.
Yeah, so it's a whole new category.
And then we have, like I said, the core, like bread and butter items for every role. So we'll just read them off real quick is Crusher, Serrated Edge, Transcendence, Heartseeker, Devourer's Gauntlet, Book of Thoth, Spear of Desolation, Soul Gem, Doom Orb, Spirit Robe, Prophetic Cloak, Void Shield, Void Stone, Glorious Pridwin, Shifter Shield, Shield of the Phoenix, Berserker Shield, Mystical Mail, Rod of Tahuti, Genji's Guard, Gauntlet of Thebes, Demonic Grip, and throwback to that Chalice of Healing. Count it. Yep. It's a new item. It's a port item. Count
Yeah, it counts.
Demonic Grip was added in there specifically to make sure those mage ADCs still had a really good option, even though they can build strength and go full ADC if you want to build more of an int strength hybrid or a full int, but like with decent basic attacks. That one's a big add as well.
Nice. Yeah, it's just cool to see all those items come in. So, and like you said, good for players who are getting into it and haven't learned all the new items. They have some comfortable items they can fall back on and learn to blend.
Yeah, build those items you're familiar with. Most of them are early game items, so stacking items you often want first. Build those ones you're familiar with. Get it started. If you're not all auto builds, row and aggro come through every auto build. Read them all for these new items. So the auto builds are really solid. Every god has multiple options for auto build based on your role or play style. Yeah. You can choose between those to auto build. When you have an auto build going, you can buy and sell wards and consumables. It will not disrupt your auto build. Those are really nice features for all this stuff.
I like it.
So if you're still learning the ropes, build these items you're familiar with first and foremost, and then later in the game you can start when you have some death cam time, maybe you won't. I know. Okay, everyone's really good. You can look for some new items like the Helm of Darkness that turns you invisible and some crazy stuff you've got in there.
Item.
So
Zeus in arena with Helm of Darkness is so good. Just creep up with your ult. Oh, I love it. So.
I haven't heard that particular usage yet, but you would, Harrison. I love it.
All right, so to continue down the item train, not only do we add a bunch of items, it seems that we have a handful of them that were kind of renamed for in Smite 2 currently.
Yeah, so let's see. I'll try to keep this short, but effectively, you're going to see even more Smite 1 items in Smite 2 this patch because any Smite 2 item that we didn't feel like significantly differentiated itself, we just kind of readjusted back towards Smite 1 in name and art and oftentimes in the design as well.
Okay.
So that means you're also going to see Titan's Bane, Demon Blade, Bloodforge, Gladiator Shield, Golden Blade, Spectral Armor, Shogun's Kansari, Stone of Binding, Obsidian Shard, and Soul Reaver.
Yep.
And some of those are a little bit different from Smite 1, but they still generally do the same thing. Spectral Armor is still the anti-crit item.
Yeah.
It has pretty different effects. It has like an AoE aura that negatively affects attack speed and crit strong, but it doesn't do the exact same thing it did in Smite 1. Golden Blade now has damage that scales off of protections. So you can really build it on those basic attack warriors whenever, whenever my girl gets in the game. It's going to be good. So it's there's some pivots here, but they generally do what you're used to. Bloodforge is an active item still. You press a button to get the shield instead of getting a kill. So, but they generally do what you're used to them doing in Smite 1.
Got it. And it's a good push for familiarity too, because like you said, if they weren't completely stand out different from their predecessors, then why not incorporate them? They were popular there. So
And there might even be a few more like specific renames that we didn't put in here. They're on the patch notes though.
Oh, for sure.
So some of these items actually stole temp art from other items, so those items had to also be changed. So there's a couple
Cascade
other
effect,
yeah.
but we're not going to go into all that right now.
Cool. So next up, another kind of huge change to the way the item store works is you've basically completely revised the component building system that was present in Alpha Weekend 4.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. We don't have my list of pro and cons on this sheet. Let me see if I can find it. But so essentially, we want to keep component system.
Yeah.
It has a lot of advantages to the game balance. Being able to track stat efficiency, because a strength item from an axe all of those items will use an axe.
Yeah.
And having that connectivity is really valuable in a lot of ways. But we wanted to also simplify and streamline the system that some of the earlier Alpha Weekend tests system was just a little messy, to be honest. I'm not ashamed to say it. I was mostly the one designing it, so I felt it for real. We've done a lot of specific changes to the items. I'm looking for my notes so I can read them off a little more specifically. But we wanted to make the items more clear in how they upgrade from one to another. That's going to be a little bit more familiar to players.
Yeah, and I guess just to dive in on that, I know that we've gotten a lot of feedback around readability for the item store, because especially for a new player, which is, we want this game to feel incredible for everybody we bring in from the community who's already played Smite for a bunch of years, but we also want new people to come in and experience Smite and join us on this next leg of our journey. And a lot of people have come to me and to a lot of us and said, hey, the item store is a big area that scares new players off. It can be hard to figure out how to develop builds and how to work through that. So a lot of these changes too are trying to take in feedback like that and figure out how do we make this approachable for somebody who's never touched this game or even another MOBA. So
okay, I've got my notes for the item upgrade rework.
Nice,
so
let's do it.
every upgrade is just 1 or 2 components, no more 3 components. Like we used to have items that had like a whole bunch of stuff that would require. So now you see more of these traditional like tree views. And we also have no more tier 1s building directly into tier 3s. That was the thing that was confusing a lot of people.
Okay.
Because some tier 3s would require a tier 2 and then multiple tier 1s.
Right.
Yep.
And when you're trying to navigate through how those build into, people will get lost. So that's no longer the case. Every tier 1 will build directly into a tier 2 into a tier 3. And there will always be at least two or 1 from each component. So this also just makes the item upgrading fill up less inventory space. Like if you try to a lot of people, we understand we've been building the shop this way, you're just going to look at the tier 3 items and you're just going to click on the top one until you get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now there's going to be less total components in that tree. It's going to be less likely that you're going to fill up your whole inventory with small stat items.
Yeah.
We made the tier 2 to tier 3 upgrades more meaningful. So what that means is there's a more significant cost jump and stat jump from owning the 2 tier 2 items versus combining those into a tier 3 item.
Okay.
In the previous Alpha Weekends, some of those upgrades were really cheap. So effectively having the 2 tier 2s was essentially the same as having the tier 3 already.
All right.
And the upgrade didn't feel very meaningful.
Yeah,
so
no
we
power
rebalanced the cost very specifically to make sure that really is impactful. So essentially the tier 3 is roughly like 30-30-30, the tier 1 or tier 2 part A, tier 2 part B, and the upgrade cost.
Okay. So
So it's a lot more meaningful in stats. This power spike, you're really going to feel it when you actually get a tier 3 versus having 2 tier 2s. We readjusted pretty much every tier 3 to have more round numbers like 10s, 25, 50s, no more little like 34. Technically, my spreadsheet would tell you this item would be more balanced at 12 strength, 11 strength. But I know, we don't like that. We don't like gold costs of 12, 25, stuff like that. So we cleaned up most of these. This was really easy to do on tier 3s because the stats are bigger numbers. You have more flexibility. Harder to do on tier 1s and tier 2s. So you might still see a few of those, but we did our best. We also made sure no upgrade path loses any stats. There was some possibilities in the previous Alpha Weekend where if you upgrade an item, you might actually lose some penetration, but like gain a passive that gives you a penetration-like effect.
Yeah.
That's no longer going to be the case. You won't lose any stats as you upgrade. Finally, all recipes are unique. None of them are duplicates. You don't really have a good way of perceiving that in the item store, but you just have to trust us that every item is building from a unique combination. And we had to add many, many new tier 2 items to support all of these unique combinations and more clarified things. So you'll see a bigger list in the tier 2 items. Smite 1 doesn't even show you tier 2 items in the full scroll list, fun fact. So you really only see those in the tree. Again, that's similar in Smite 1. You might not care too much about them, but there's a lot more options, and you'll notice them if you really care about your bridge building, how you're building up into your tier 3s.
Yeah.
There could be some really meaningful decisions in there.
Yep.
Wow. That
I
was
think also it'd be good to just go through like a quick example of like a tree just to see how this actually plays out. So I have the crit tree up. So you have Kopesh, which is the combo of axe and saber, and so this is like the combo item that combines these two stats together. And if you combine that with the pure upgrade of bow, which is Hunter's bow, you get the thing that gives you strength, crit, and attack speed. That's its focus. If I go look at what Deathbringer does, it actually builds off the combo item plus the pure item of strength to give you Deathbringer, the really high damaging impact crit item. And then if you go Kopesh to Misashi's dual sword, you have the hook sword, which is the pure crit upgrade. So this is your very critical strike, actual raw percentage focused item. And so you can see this kind of combo plus pure of the stat. It makes it just a lot easier to understand what this item's intent is and goal is. And it also is kind of a pattern that's through most of the items. There's a few that kind of cheat this here or there as needed to, but it gives you a good idea of what this component system is trying to do and convey when these items are building from these components.
It really, ever having unique recipes really pushed us to give every item a unique identity, right? So just like Pawn mentioned, of the 3 crit items, one's heavy strength, one's attack speed, and one's heavy crit.
Yeah.
There's no in the previous alpha weekends we'd have a couple situations where we'd have, like, for example, I think it was the lifesteal items I used on the example for the patch note show we had today. They were virtually the same stats.
Yeah.
In alpha weekend, hold on, I'm trying to get it won't Safari tabs. Previously, oh no, I didn't put that one on here, did I? I thought I put that one on here. Which one did you copy from the patch notes? I'm going to blame a day. No, it's okay.
It's all my fault, whatever it is.
But you just got to trust me. Like, Reaper and Bloodforge had, like, the same stats.
Right.
The only difference was the passive versus the active. But now there's actually meaningful shifts in the stats within items of similar categories.
Yeah.
So you'll actually have items, and the tier 2s will convey that ratio.
Yeah.
So yeah, here you can see.
Bloodforge is the pure upgrade of strength and lifesteal together, so it really focuses on kind of those two stats and being more defensive, whereas Reaper actually is this item plus the pure lifesteal item. It has significantly more lifesteal than Bloodforge does. And then obviously its passive can play into that as well.
Yeah.
So there's some other examples in the patch notes, like Gem of Isolation was one of those ones that used a whole bunch of tier 1s, and that just felt awkward. That's not the case anymore. Avatar's Parashu was an example because we used to use duplicates. We don't do that anymore. So this used to be axe to axe to axe to axe.
This is a strength item.
It was 4 axes and 2 skeg axes into 1 Parashu. Now it's just a bigger gold cost instead. And that does have a meaningful, like, these items that are the more direct upgrades are a little bit more punishing to upgrade. You don't have as smooth of a curve. You have bigger power spikes.
You
And
have
that was
1700
intended
gold.
in the system
Yeah,
to
that's a
make these
lot.
really feel impactful when you upgrade them.
course.
And your opponents in lane are going to need to pay attention a little bit better when you
Yeah.
finish those type of items.
Yeah, again, as somebody, one of my focuses has been how do we make this game learnable? Because I have a lot of friends I try to bring in who do not play MOBAs, and they're like, oh, like I don't even know what's going on. And just immediately, I love the idea that if you see an item that has a lot of strength, you immediately know, okay, that's going to build into another item that offers me a lot of strength. You know, like it seems very intuitive to just be able to climb that tree and say, oh, attack speed goes into attack speed, goes into attack speed, and that's what I want as a new player who wants to attack fast. So really big fan of all the changes y'all been making. It looks great. It looks readable, and I'm excited to get the community feedback on how this is.
It's got a lot of, and essentially the patch note that we're not putting in here is essentially every item has had its stats and costs changed.
Yeah.
So we're not going to read you off every single item, increase this by that or increase this by that. But really, as MOBAs do, we're going to let players play with the items and feel out what's strong, what's not, and what's changed and what hasn't. And, then we'll start balancing. We've already got some big balance pass goals we want to make
We've
for
only
the
just
next
begun.
pass. So we're gonna item balance is gonna be big. A lot of changes still coming up, and also to add that a lot of items are using temporary icon art,
Yeah.
and almost all of them are using temporary visual effects or audio effects. Those are things that we're gonna polish up in the future.
That's not the final mushroom?
When these items are more solidified and we really feel confident with them, then we'll be more comfortable going through and doing full art passes on them. So for now, expect a lot of balance still in items. A huge balance of change in this update.
Oh, for sure.
Continue to expect more heavy item balance in future updates or exciting new items. And keep in mind out in the long run, we're still looking to update those art.
Yeah. Well, once we get a little closer to like going free to play, like going full launch, we'll have a locked in item set. They'll all look like even more pretty than they do now somehow because our teams are amazing. But for now,
The Smite 1 icons still look good.
they do.
Most of them. Some of them are old.
Some of them are a little old.
No joke. Some of them are, and some of them we copied over into this game. We're still like real old, but
Yeah, when you have a 10-year-old game, that just tends to happen. So, but cool. So that was items. We made it through the item section. A lot of incredible changes, huge store overhauls, and again, another callback to the community and how a lot of those changes came directly from stuff that y'all brought to us from these alpha weekends and said, hey, this just doesn't make sense, or hey, this was cool, you tried it, maybe clean it up a little. So just a huge shout out to y'all again, as I'm going to continue to do because I love you. But we're going to keep moving. We have more to talk about. Of course, we're not done yet. There's so much that's happening for Closed Alpha 1.
Doing pretty
And next
good.
up, we are doing pretty good.
We're on pace.
Next up, we're talking gods. So we've talked about the items. We know what to expect there. But what about the gods that are going to wield those items, all right? So let's get right into it with something you read right off the top. We have god damage types. So that's the big change there.
Right. So this is just damage output.
Okay.
So there was a lot of Alpha Weekend feedback and confusion around gods being able to deal multiple damage types. And you really had to pay attention, potentially leaning on the tab screen way too often to see, is this Neath building in a way that I need to build magical protections or physical protections? Very confusing.
Got it.
Right? So now in Smite 2, gods will only deal one damage type. And it's generally the same type that they dealt in Smite 1.
Okay.
Or will specifically tell you what the new
Yeah,
gods are.
I think equally on the other side as well. It's like if you're playing, a mage Neath with int scaling, but you're dealing physical damage, which kind of penetration do I need and stuff? So it's just cascaded on both sides.
Yeah.
The way that it's been simplified now is just honestly helping everyone out.
Right, so you only need one type of penetration, and we made penetration easier to access, so you can build easier combos between
Exactly.
int pen and strength pen, where it's not limited with the pen is mismatching of the damage type you want on the stat. So they can still buy, gods can still buy all items, and gods will still scale with variety of stats. That's the next section.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
But gods will only deal one damage type. So if you see a Neath, you know it's physical damage. You don't got to think about it again.
Cool. And yeah, obviously there's a whole list of those of like what does what. It'll be listed with a specific god. You can also look at the patch notes if you want to see that entire list of like the way it's separated. We could read it out, but it's right there on the patch notes. You'll be able to see the whole thing. So cool. So I guess let's get into scaling then, right? So because gods are now dealing one type of damage, some of they fall under different scaling categories now.
Yeah, so we've kind of adjusted this slightly so that gods are now specifically categorized into 3 types of scaling.
Okay.
Strength ability scaling, int ability scaling, or mixed ability scaling. So strength ability scaling gods will essentially have no use for intelligence. They can still buy all the items,
Yeah.
but they will effectively not have a use for intelligence. They just scale off strength, and that's all they got to think about.
Okay.
I guess the only slight exception is basic attacks. There's an exception.
Yeah, I
on
was just
the
like,
patch notes.
we'll get
So
to that.
every god scales off 100% strength plus 20% int for their basic attacks. So even those gods, like if you want to build Chronos Pendant on her just for super low cooldown impales,
Yeah.
you will get a little bit of basic attack damage from that intelligence on that item, and you still there is still that exception. But for the ability scaling, strength only. Previously, we had a couple gods like Loki that had maybe one utility effect on one ability that would maybe scale off intelligence. We found that most people were finding that to be confusing and not meaningful and not useful.
The full
So-
intelligence blind build went so hard.
Those things have been removed. It's generally really small things on a couple gods.
Yeah.
So I think in this list, Loki is like the only example of the strength-only gods that had an int. So then int-only gods, similarly, none of their abilities scale off strength. They still can do ADC builds by building strength because they will get 100% strength scaling on their basic attacks. Everybody has that, but they won't have anything on their abilities that scales off strength. So they're int gods.
Makes sense.
And then mixed ability scaling gods will use strength and int for various ability damage scaling effects throughout the kit. This includes Ares, Athena, Bacchus, Cernunnos, Chalk, Mordred, Neath, Odin, Sol, Ymir. And we have a couple balance changes we'll get to soon that explain some of these choices a little bit more specifically. But these gods generally, specifically Sol and Ymir, we wanted to encourage a strength build because they have a true ADC potential, even though they're historically magical gods.
Yeah.
So we added a little bit of strength scaling to their abilities to make those more smooth, and we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, but super cool stuff there. And again, there's lists of all of these. We just gave y'all like the mixed list there, but the list of all 3 of the different categories will be or is available on the patch notes. You can check that out if you want to see like where does my god fall in that list. So again, it's relatively intuitive, especially if you come from Smite 1. But if you're new here, then it's a good thing to check out to figure out what kind of build path you should be going. So now, like you said, we have some buffs and nerfs to talk about. This isn't going to be every single buff and nerf. There are more on the patch note. So if you want to read through all of those, you'll catch a few that we don't talk about here. But we kind of isolated some of the bigger ones or some of the ones that have a little more dramatic change. And we're kicking off with Ares.
Yeah, Pawn Clumsy, you want to take
Yeah,
this one?
I'll take Ares. So Ares, first off, his basic attack damage, it's been changed from physical to magical, again, to go with the previous discussion point that we had. Blessed Armaments, that's his new passive, the one that for the amount of protections and cooldown rate he builds, he gets more int and strength to give to his team. It was giving quite a bit. It was a lot. So it's,
He's real good.
so it's at a 20% of his protections from items being converted to, I believe, strength. It's now 12.5%, so a pretty substantial nerf there. Also, Shackles, we had a bug with him. He was dealing, essentially the chain dot was stacking in a way that was unintended. It wasn't actually showing the damage numbers, but all the individual chains did full damage for what they were supposed to do, which is why I think in our alpha weekend he had like a 65% win rate.
He was by far the winningest
he was
god in the
insane.
last alpha test. So he needed some nerfs and
So
fixes.
yeah, he got a lot of essentially nerfs for his passive, fixes for this shackle damage that was really, really giving him a ton of damage. Also, again, change the damage type. And then finally, No Escape. The initial damage has been shifted around a little bit. So now it has, it goes from 65 to 165 plus 25 to 60, 140 plus 30% strength. So lower base, but higher strength scaling potential.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about this mixed scalings is like, even though Ares is still going to do all magical damage, you can build a full strength Ares build, which is something I feel like Smite 1 players have always wanted, was like and they felt like Ares might have fit better as a physical god and things like that, and now this type of things are possible.
And we did things to support it too, like I think he has lower post fires as well, to make sure that he can actually basic attack after things more effectively and cancel properly.
cool.
So
Yeah.
we also made changes to the god's feel to make sure that that is more supported.
Yeah.
Y'all just can't not do good work. However you phrase that, they do great work. So continuing down Guardians that start with A, let's talk about Athena.
Yeah, so Athena is the damage tape change from physical to magical, like we talked about. We're going to see that kind of trend along a lot of these. Reach, the passive damage was also changed from physical to magical, and the damage was actually shifted from scaling off of basic attack damage to scaling back to more traditional strength and intelligence. So there were some fun, quirky little combos you could do.
Double multiplication with Hydras and crit.
Yeah, some things that you could do that. I mean, I was having a lot of fun in some of the alpha weekends going crit Athena in the jungle, but maybe a little bit too much fun. A lot of people noticed that. So now, if you want to have that extra damage off of your reach passive, you're going to need to probably build off of not dagger or frenzy and more traditional strength.
And there is one little loaded change in here, which is that int is significantly higher. So if you want to do full int magical like jungle Athena, reach is going to be scaling a lot better off that than previously.
Your normal basic attack scaling of 120 is now 125 and 70, which is a really big change.
Right.
Yeah.
Preemptive strikes, also the damage changing from physical to magical, and so we're doing some fun stuff here with protection scaling, right? So physical protections increased to scale with physical protections from your builds, and same thing with the magical protections. But more interestingly, there, confound, the taunt duration, is actually going to be scaling with protections from items as well. So you're going to get a 0.2 seconds increase to your taunt duration for every 150 protections from items you get, stacking up to 2 times.
And I believe this is the threshold version, right?
Yes.
So you have to actually get to 150 prots to see that benefit. It won't actually be, if you're at 140, you won't see this benefit yet.
Yep. So you have to get from items specifically of either physical or magical protections, get to the 150, get to 300 for the max benefit.
Yeah, and super cool too to see, like, with all these scaling changes, to see that now protections on Guardians start to provide scaling for their abilities as well. So you get to scale from protection. Just really cool to see, especially as a Guardian lover. So continuing on that train, we have Bacchus getting some changes as well.
I'll take it.
Yeah, go for it.
So again, type changings to match the above notes. Chug now has damage scaling increased to be more intense. So it goes from 0 to 60 to actually ranking up each time you rank up Chug. So you have more of a reason to rank up Chug. Belly Flop had the damage change again. We also now have another protection scaling component added. So rather than just 85% of strength, it's also now plus 60% of your protections as well. So this gives you another reason to go really tanky and get that extra belly flop.
Heavy boy.
Yeah, he's heavier.
Heavy boy.
When he's wearing that much armor, it hurts more. It just
true.
makes sense.
I love it.
And then Bells to the Gods, it now applies anti-heal again. That was something that we had removed in a very earlier version of this, but it felt like he was just missing that utility that he brought to his team. So he now applies anti-heal again. We've also increased the base damage overall just to give him a bit more potential when fighting, especially as you rank this up.
That's right.
Yeah, so don't get jumped on if he's wearing full plate mail. That will hurt a lot. So moving on to somebody else who wears armor, we have Bologna.
Yep. So Bologna is actually pretty interesting because we had to do, we also want to do a little bit of balance where we can for these gods. So this is going to be a little bit of a shift. Bologna in Smite 2 has been pretty good certain times, and,
Oh, yeah.
and this is going to be toning down in some aspects but buffing up in others. So the basic attacks for Bologna, specifically in the Hammer's Cleave, the damage has been changed from 33 to 66% of your basic attack damage, so a little bit of an increase there. Master of War, on the other hand, the passive, your physical protection has been decreased from 7 per stack to 4 per stack.
Okay.
Same
Big
thing there for
change.
the magical protections. That seems like a lot, but it also just shows you how strong we think she was
Yeah.
with that
She
passive
was
that's in
performing.
effect all the time, especially because Smite 2's Master of War passive is slightly stronger just as a whole. It gives you a lot more than in Smite 1's. Shield Bash, well, we're playing along with that protection scaling again. So the damage is scaling from 70% strength to 70% strength and 30% of the protections. The base reflect damage is being decreased though from 30 to 25. So for Shield Bash specifically, which kind of like iconically the defensive ability, you're actually getting a benefit from being a little bit more defensive.
Makes sense.
Similarly, Eagle's Rally, the ultimate, the strength bonus and the intelligence bonus is going to be shifted to actually be a lower base amount, but now gaining 10% protection scaling. So overall, if you're building more frontline, you're building a little bit more tankier, you're going to see a noticeable jump in the buff that you're providing.
Yeah.
As well as physical protection increased with 10% and magical protection increased by 10% of your
Yeah.
protection. So still, again, a little bit more strength there from your protections.
Yeah, and again, just a super cool stat to see starting to play into that little bit of offense. You know, like I can build full tank and still know that I'm not just going to get into a wet noodle fight with the rest of the team. Like when I
Exactly.
jump in there, I am still a threat, but I'm also a little more protected too. So really cool to continue to see. Next up, we're getting Unchained. We have Fenrir.
So Fenrir, the kind of traditional, really bursty jungler, now can kind of flex into the support role. We see that commonly for him, just really reinforcing that. So Unchained is getting damage scaling not only from strength but also from protections. Ragnarok, support Fenrir. Again, getting protection scaling, especially physical protection scaling on Ragnarok. We're just giving him more during that period of time. So just really enforcing if you want to play that supporty role where you are the front line, you're the Fenrir that wants to leap in, you want to bite someone for your team, carry them over, and you're just trying to be a disruption Fenrir, if you want to get that early pressure from your aggressive playstyle, you can now leverage that a lot more effectively, and as you build procs, you'll be rewarded for that. There's also a bug fix note, which is that he can no longer bite structures. Again, he couldn't do that. He couldn't do that in Smite 1. We just are matching that. It's getting that... It just let him
Do that
absolutely
with his
chop
ulti.
through.
I didn't even realize.
Well, we had an early version way earlier where he could also do that to Fire Giant, and he
Oh
became
my gosh.
I want to
menace.
pick up a tower and carry it back to you like a big old stick.
Right?
That's so funny.
Oh man, you nerfed my boy. He just wanted the stick, dude. It's super cool changes. Next up, we're going to the underworld. We have Hades to check in on.
Hades has also been pretty good, so we're going to see some of that shift happening here too. So Death from Below, the base damage is just going to be decreasing from 7270 to 70 to 250 with a little bit of an int scaling decrease as well. But similar to Athena and that Confound change, Silence and the Fear scaling has been added to Shroud of Darkness with that same threshold mechanic. So 150 protections from items stacking up to 2 times. You can start gaining an increase in the duration of the Silence and Fear of that ability.
Cool.
Pretty darn cool. Devour Souls, also a bit of a base damage decrease there, but with the healing this time, you're going to see a little bit of scaling change there from your protections from items. So again, going a little bit tanky and not just the full offense Hades, you're going to be seeing a little bit of decrease in playstyle there for the offense, but an increase in different parts of your playstyles with protections. And one last one there, Pillar of Agony, the ultimate as well is going to be gaining that physical and magical protections from items.
Super cool to see. It's been fun being able to with that Smite 2 change of being able to use an ability in your ult. That is just
It's insane. I love it.
I'm not surprised Hades is popping off because that's just that's just a whole level of
real
gameplay. So next up, somebody we touched on a little bit earlier, Soul, getting one notable change here.
And this one will actually go into the next character as well, Ymir. These Ymir and Soul are the two characters that have that kind of, they want to either be kind of more int bursty or have that more in-hand play style. But either way, you want your core damaging ability, in Soul's case, Stellar Burst, to feel pretty good to use whatever route you go.
Yeah.
And so adding strength scaling here just helps that be a more consistent ability, a more consistent threat when you're facing Soul, and useful in both types of builds. And we think that's just going to feel good to Soul players. In the same way that Ymir, if we want to go to the next character.
Let's roll right into Ymir.
Outside of the damage changing, Glacial Strike is also getting that strength scaling because, again, he is smacking the ground with that giant mallet. It feels very strength focused, but the ice feels very int focused, and so getting that extra strength scaling is just going to make that ability feel good in the more strength focused face punch Ymir playstyle.
Yeah,
So
and
good.
you may see base damage decreases there, but also because he's gaining a new component of strength scaling, that's actually going to be making up.
And
for it.
everyone has strength for free for their base
Yeah.
attacks. So yeah.
Yeah, they're getting that per level, so that more than makes up for it.
And he's got one more exciting tank change.
Yep, Shards of Ice. So we've decreased the damage floor that this ability does when you are building int. So if you're focused on making this hit as hard as possible, the more inch you build, essentially the floor will increase if you just want to quick fire it, making it so that if you in the situations where you can only get a really quick charge off, it's still going to hurt more. As well as it now has damage scaling from protections as well. So not only intelligence you build, but if you build tanky Ymir, you're the front line for your team, your ult is going to hurt still because it is a giant AoE field with a giant explosion and giant buildup. It should always hurt. So getting that, regardless of what playstyle you go, is just going to feel nice for Ymir players.
So we had a lot of feedback from Alpha Weekend that tanks just weren't feeling impactful, so that's why you saw a lot of tank buffs today. And then a lot of other changes you saw today were designed around encouraging role flexibility. Encouraging more play styles, adding those unique protection scalings, leveraging the strength in system. So really a lot of cool things that we could come together with just through balance within the Smite 2 system.
For sure. And something that I've been honestly one of the most excited about for Smite 2 is just how much we're leaning into role diversity with the way that items work, the way that gods can build any item now. That's always been one of my favorite things. I love the meme builds. I love seeing stuff like that. So seeing it become more accessible in certain ways is just, oh man, I'm excited. All right. So this next point's kind of big. So we're still talking gods. That's all the god balance we're talking about right now. You can see any additional that we didn't talk about on the patch notes. But this next spot is big. So it's just called God Polish is what we're calling this section. But that envelops two small words for what envelops such a huge category of work that was done since Alpha Weekend 4. So who wants to lead the charge on that?
Pon, you want to take it off the start?
I have to work on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So we had a major goal after the feedback of AW4 where we had gods that just didn't feel like we were meeting the polish mark that we wanted to. There were things that felt missing, things that didn't feel quite right. And so we looked at all that feedback and we create basically like a giant list of things that we wanted to address.
Okay.
And so a lot of these changes, it's going to be too difficult to go into all the detail of all this. I definitely suggest you read the notes and see all the stuff that's in there. But we had kind of either major global changes that we tried to do or more character specific ones. Some of the global changes we did were we did audio passes on most of the audio sounds of the game. So things like when Susano did his auto attacks, the slash was really, really loud. And it had the same sound that happened when you hit. And that actually made it really difficult to tell when you're auto-attacking whether or not that hit connected. And we found that was a trend across a lot of the abilities, where Smite 1 kind of respected the hit a bit more. We were making them more equivalent, and so that made it really hard to understand combat. Things like that, or things like the auto-attack chain. When you finish an auto-attack chain in Smite 1, you almost always end in a grunt. In Smite 2, we were more randomly playing that grunt sound, and that actually made it really hard to understand if you were getting the final hit.
I remember when you found that. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so wild.
We had things like animation blend times not quite matching. So Odin, when he ulted, he would actually go a lot higher in the air because if you cancel that with an auto attack, we want you to be able to do that so it feels snappy. He was really high up in the air, where in Smite 1 he doesn't do that because the blend times are different. So we have a lot of these global systems where that's going to affect a lot of gods, and we still have more work to do in that front. We didn't get every single character adjusted. You can read to see kind of what our global adjustments are and get an idea of where we're going to be addressing all the characters going in the future.
Got it.
We also have systems like dashes. Dashes weren't respecting properly the end location. They had a little bit of hitchiness. And in Susano, that was really noticeable. And that was what first keyed us in, was he was dashing past the target, which made it really hard when you dash through to turn an auto attack cancel someone. So a lot of those core systems also got updates. So that's like the kind of global level stuff. I definitely suggest you read that stuff and see kind of what's all there, because that's going to affect basically every character you play.
There's a lot of stuff there on the patch
There's
notes.
a huge number of changes.
Now, going into the specific god sections, when we were talking about how we were going to present this, instead of going through every single thing, we felt it would be better to just kind of go through every single, like the actual count. So
But every change is written in the patch notes.
every change is written in the patch
change
notes.
is there.
But just to give you an idea, on her hat, and these are not balance changes. These are things that we consider things that you're going to notice in your gameplay that's going to make your gameplay feel better or look better.
Quality of life.
So
Quality of life.
quality of life polish adjustments. So on her got 8, Athena got 4, Ares got 7, Bellona got 14, Kurnos got 2, Chalk got 28, Fenrir got 5, Hades got 5, Hecate got 3, Kukulkan got 33, Sol got 5, Susano got 12, Thanatos got 8, Morgan got 3, Loki got 9, Neith got 2, Odin got 10, Ymir got 14. So overall, I don't actually know the count, but it's probably approaching 200 individual things to make the gods feel better.
I was about to say, and because I wrote the notes for this, I wrote the word approximate on there because you go through, and technically I think there are more bullet points than changes I listed. So like, there are probably more changes than that even. It was insane.
Yeah, and just to give you the highlights, because we're not going into that, I just want to make sure that I want to call out some of the more major things that are going to be most noticeable.
Of course.
Ymir, Chalk, and Kukulkan got basically full VFX passes, kind of with a new standard in mind about how these VFX should be portrayed, what the quality level should be, how they should interact with combat clarity. So be on the lookouts for them. Loki and Thanatos and Sano got partial VFX passes, so these were more focused around individual abilities, so it's not a complete suite rework. If you want to get the most different example, Kukulkan especially had a big color scheme update, so that his wind feels unique to him, where it had a lot of different colors that made it hard to understand what really belonged to him. It now matches him a lot better. We also had specific godlike changes that I want to call out that weren't in our balance notes, but will affect your gameplay. So on her and Ymir, we had complaints about people saying the wall aiming where it snaps behind you was too far, it was too close. So like if you want to put the wall close up in front of you, it snapped behind you in a way that you didn't expect it to. You now have to aim really at your feet. It's not, so we tightened that range up. Ares, we significantly reduced the post fire and call to arms. It was too long, so if you 2'd, you just couldn't auto attack for a while after that. Fenrir now has haste in his ult, so that when he bites, he doesn't slow down. He also now properly drops his target with a little bit of forward velocity, so that's what lets you actually auto attack him after you drop him from the ult. Soul Stellar Burst timing has been adjusted, and VFX should now match the growth rate. It was actually had a small delay that was unintended. Susano had a lot of different things from AWE4 to now. So things like size hit areas were updated and fixed. Some functionality things about whether they were radial sweeps versus instant cones. The ult got a size increase. The ult now has the VFX now fills the whole area. So things that we had a lot of notes on from AWE4 have been addressed on Susano. The Morgan, one common piece of feedback was that the AO1, the first ability, if you're holding left click when the targeter is like ready to fire, it should automatically fire. That is now there. And additionally, she also had a bug where she was unstealthing. So if you were stealthed and then you brought up your 2 and you're like, actually, I don't want a 2, you right clicked, you exited stealth. That has been fixed. Neith will now slide along the wall when she backflips, but doesn't go over wall. So in Smite 2, if she backflips, she can actually go over walls. But if there's no safe location on the other side, she instead kind of goes towards like the wall and slides along it. But she would get stuck, and so now she actually slides along it. So you're not going to just kind of like eat your whole backward motion.
That's a big change.
Dead stop. It's a big change. And Odin's Ring of Spear and has a much lowered post fire, as does Gungnir's Might have a much lower post fire. You'd use those abilities and you couldn't auto attack for a while after that, and that just didn't feel good. So those have been adjusted. And those are the ones that stood out to me as I wanted to call attention to, but they are not the only ones in that list.
Yeah, exactly.
Long list.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Someone's going to have a lot of fun going through and reading all those changes and seeing all the stuff there. But there's a lot of stuff there. A big shout out to the audio team, who did a major pass on a lot of this feedback. Big shout out to the VFX team, who did a lot of work to make all this stuff come together. Big shout out to the programming team, who identified these bugs and really worked to try and crush them. There's a lot of effort and focus on this patch to make God Polish a focus and intention that you guys would notice and feel going into the closed alpha. So definitely be on the lookout for all those changes. And if things don't still feel good to you, know that we're committed to changing this stuff and making it feel good.
And big shout outs to Pawn. He's been absolutely fantastic and kicking ass on all of these. Like, I can't imagine how many of these would have just been lost.
I have so many Google Docs.
Dude, and shout out, so many cool changes. This is only minorly related, just the Neath thing. You know, Alpha Weekend 4, we got to play Arena. I brought my brother into Arena because, I'm like, hey, come play this new game. Like, give me the feedback, And the first thing he did was he left base, backflipped over the wall into the base, and said, I want you to thank whoever had this idea. Because he'd been wanting to do that. Big Neath player. He'd been wanting to do that for years. So he was like, Harrison, buy them a gift. Give them a basket. So
Neath 2.
Neath 2. So, all right. We're still in God world, but we got some exciting new God stuff to talk about. And by new God stuff, I mean new gods to Smite 2. One of them is coming from Smite 1. One of them is coming from the imagination of our creative people.
Imagination Land.
Yeah, well, lore and then imagination land. So either way, let's get into the new gods you can expect in the roster for Closed Alpha 1 Smite 2, starting with Jing Wei popping in.
Oh, hey, fam. Oh, hey, fam.
Oh, hey, fam.
Oh, hey, fam.
So yeah, Jing Wei is arriving in Smite 2, and with some changes as well, a few new features, I think, to kind of christen her Smite 2 kit.
Yeah, I mean, Clumsy, I figure you take the lead on this.
Sure, but you.
No,
sure?
this is your god. This is just as much your goddess now than it's mine.
Work. Yeah, I mean, Jing Wei has been really interesting. I mean, we did the deep dives on her. We kind of showed her off a little bit, but yeah, she's coming new into CA1, and we're super excited to show off how we could bring Jing Wei, a really iconic god from Smite 1 into Smite 2 without, we always have this goal in Smite 2, kind of just take the playstyle, distill it, and find ways that we can amplify it with kind of these +1 features. With Jingwei, we didn't want to move the ball too far. We really explored some kind of crazy options, but the further we went, the further we realized like this isn't Jingwei anymore. This isn't actually that fun. It's not what players would expect, and we wanted to make sure that we really found a way to balance those pieces of feedback. But we found some really cool and exciting things on that path as well. So some of the new features: Jingwei's persistent gust. So that's her first ability. It now has a secondary larger circle area. So this doesn't hit enemies, but it allows Jingwei to gain the buff that she would have normally gained from having to be self-CC'd and knocked up.
Yeah.
So we do have game if we want to.
Yes,
I was about to say,
Yeah.
let's dive into it. Yeah, we can show it
It'll be a
all.
lot easier
There we
to see. So
go.
you see that first ability? It's kind of a double circle now. You've still got your normal persistent gust deployable at the center that'll knock up yourself, knock up enemies just as you would expect. But now you can be in this larger area to gain that buff. You don't
Getting the
really
buff
self-CC.
without having to CC yourself is a big change.
Yeah,
It's a
that
big
is
change.
So big.
Right.
That being said, using it in practice is a little bit difficult sometimes. If you want to use it at range, you need to get back in there, right? Like it's still it's not just ubiquitously just good all the time. You need to still position yourself well, especially in team fights. So your second ability, explosive balls. Honestly, this is the big one.
Right.
This is a pretty big deal. Well, there's another one too. But your explosive balls actually gains charges per rank. So at the first rank of your ability, you only get 1 charge. 1 charge still comprises of 3 ammo shots, just like it does in Smite 1. But as you rank that ability up, you can go to 2 ability charges and then finally 3 ability charges. So that means if you're using them and you have all 3 ability charges, you can technically gain 9 explosive ball shots all back to back. Or just like you can in Smite 1, you can actually use this ability, put it on cooldown, and accumulate a charge back during that time.
That's awesome.
So you can get even more than that 9. But not stopping there, because one thing that we didn't even write in the patch notes that are technically there too. So the third ability, I'm going to come back to that. Don't worry, it's a small segue.
All right.
The third ability, agility. The dash now actually has a little bit of a turning to it. So you can now, whether you're in the air or doing it from the ground, getting a little bit of turn left or right.
Air control.
Air control. You can kind of turn corners around that. You can do this from other gods' displacement effects as well. But it also gives you an ability charge for your second ability too.
Oh, that's awesome.
So multiple ways of playing
Is that
around
only if you fire it off of the persistent gust, or every time you fire
every time you fire it.
So every
On
time you
fire.
fire
You can
it,
just
you're
quick fire it.
essentially like queuing up. So we kind of made that like secret load reload mechanic that Jingwei had, made it a little bit more intentional and more present throughout the kit. And yeah, you can get those full 9 explosive bolts, but you need to fire 1, 2, 3 ability activate.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
You can't just go spam, spam, spam and queue up 9 ammo.
Yeah,
Just
You
like
have
in
to
Smite 1, you would
balance it out.
sacrifice each your charge.
Yeah, right there I spent 2 of my charges. So I had 1 in the bank, and then I used my 2, and I just went to 3. I didn't get a 4th one.
She's got a new passive meter that shows the pips on the bottom are the ability charges, and the birds in the top are the current ammo.
Exactly.
So 1, 2, 3, press 2, 4, 5, 6. Press
That being said, there's obviously balance knobs and like tweaks here and there. The ability still gains crit over time, but this physical power scaling is a little bit lowered based on the ranks to kind of make up for the ability changes too. That being said, we're really excited for people to check it out. But that's not it, because we've got one more a pretty cool change for her ultimate, actually. Airstrike, well, it does exactly what you'd expect, where Jingwei charges up, goes up into the air, and fires forwards, and has her hover time, and then she can land. But if you time out the ultimate hover time, I'm just gonna wait for it.
Just
you
chill.
actually go backwards and do the entire dash again.
Oh,
You
that's
get
so
a
cool.
second alt.
A second strafe.
So you can fire this just like you always have. You don't have to be disruptive. Like a lot of times people are just going to fire this, look for damage, and look to land right out the bat.
Yeah.
We didn't want to disrupt that. But now you have this whole extra element where you can mind game your opponent because they won't really know what you're going to do. This ability was getting really predictable in Smite 1. You can also just get more damage if you, or more immunity time by staying up there. People, hitting in that area is a little harder to hit because it's going to go back to where you came from, right? But there's an extra skill element for the Jingwei player. There's a lot of really cool stuff here.
Again, some small balance knobs there. You don't you can't go as far as you could if you're going from like the hover state to the landing state. So we know that Jingwei is also a very safe character. We didn't want to take that away from her, but we wanted to just make sure that we curtailed it. So like you're not gaining 60 feet, maybe you're gaining like 40 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
In Smite 1 terms. So yeah, I think we're pretty excited with these changes.
Yeah.
I feel breath of fresh air into Jingwei and coming into Smite 2.
Air, I get it, because she can fly. All right, super cool. And I'm so excited to see Jingwei pop up. I mean, legitimately, every new god that hits the Smite 2 roster, like getting to this point where like you see them live and in action, you see their kit displayed, it's just tingles, dude, every time. I get super excited. And now we're moving on to a new god. So this is the second brand new god to Smite 2. We're talking Mordred now. So, I mean...
Should I just switch and use the abilities?
Yeah,
Sure.
we should do that. Just
not?
do it like we do before. Just do a kit showcase.
Hey, there's
Mordred in the game for the first time.
Yeah.
First, we'll do a run cycle showcase.
True.
Yep.
'Cause you
Actually,
don't have
that's
the
not the command anymore.
No, it's supersonic.
Yeah, but then I'm super fast. We're gonna
Yeah. Then it's not as cool.
we have to walk slow.
You can
Yeah.
turn it off now in Smite 2.
Oh yeah, I can turn it off.
All the new tools we get to play with.
Oh, yeah,
we don't
I know,
even know
right?
all of them yet. It's,
Pawn's still limited by his Smite 1 memory of having to cheat in the game during the patch show.
The sky is no longer the limit. There's space and stars out
Okay.
there.
all right, go.
All right, let's just
All
do
right,
like a
show
kit
off those
showcase.
abilities.
And I'll get enough energy.
Yeah, I was just like, you may need to. That might be bugged a little
Yeah,
bit.
so-
Oh, come to switch class.
Yes, because of switch class. But then we got this,
Yeah.
and then
Do you want to
I
use the-
will.
yeah, character. Yeah, you got it. You got it.
You know the secret techniques.
So now we got the ultimate, because again,
ultimate
this is like
Ultimate.
it's like some other character.
Oh, that's
We'll
so
go over all
cool.
these abilities in a second.
Oh man, his animations are insane. What?
Yeah.
All right, so that was a lot of stuff. we just saw. So I guess first and foremost, while we continue to look at the kit a little bit, why Mordred? What brought Mordred as the next god into Smite 2?
So we talked about it a little bit in the early videos. I'll echo some of those sentiments, but there was a lot of community requests for this character.
Yeah.
A lot of rogue polls on social media that we don't always go off those, but specifically for this god, we did want to look for a character like that. So we saw he was topping a lot of those polls, more than we honestly thought. So we started to consider him a little more seriously, and then we also were looking for someone to kind of contrast Hecate as one of the first gods. So we were looking for someone a little bit more just evil and angry and mean, and we were also looking for someone melee and physical.
Yeah.
And so Mordred started to stack up in a lot of ways that worked out like that. And then as we started brainstorming the kit and the planning, we really felt like he had some really cool opportunities for abilities that really showcased Smite 2 and felt like stuff that we normally wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So all those things came together to just got Mordred officially on the calendar.
Nice. So, I mean, yeah, we've seen all of his kit now. We've seen it in action, but let's talk about what we're seeing. So first up, I know that his basic attacks, because of his 2 swords, are a little special. What's going on there?
Yeah. So one really last caveat on that point is, Mordred, there's going to be some expectations when you have Mordred, right? He is the antagonist to the story. He's the rival to King Arthur, and we really wanted to make sure that, one, we found a unique playstyle for him and what he's going to be in Smite 2, but 2, we had homages to the Arthurian lore. We had homage to King Arthur as well. We thought that would be really key to who Mordred would be in Smite 2.
Of course.
So going back into the kit, like you were saying, so yeah, in Smite 2, and for Mordred, new to Smite 2, just like it's weird to finally see him out there.
Right.
We didn't want to just go with like traditional Excalibur's contrast, right? We split that in 2. Mordred is going to be wielding 2 longer than normal, hefty swords. One in the right hand that we've dubbed Morning, and left hand is actually the canonical Clarence. So that one's actually in one of the stories was a gift from Guinevere.
Okay.
So for Mordred, he's going to be playing around. He's got a lot of different themes going on, but one of them is the split between strength and intelligence, something that we haven't talked about a lot today, but we want to play with in Smite 2. We want to play with specifically with Mordred. He's got a 4-hit basic attack chain, and he attacks and he swings not quite alternating, but between the 2 swords. Morning, his right hand sword, Clarent, and then Morning. That's actually going to be pretty important for his playstyle. One, because he's got a chain swing time of 0.75, and 1. So he's actually has faster swings on Clarent. But 2, is because the different swords have different scaling. Morning has the traditional strength heavy scaling of 100% strength and 20% int.
Yeah.
But Clarent actually has a pretty heavy reverse where it does 100% int scaling and 60% strength. So that's 40% less strength than normal, but 80% more intelligence.
Yeah.
So you really can play an in-hand intelligence Mordred kind of emphasized build.
That's
That's
really cool.
just kind of one component. So long story short, for Mordred, he is kind of a hybrid frontliner. We're expected to see playstyles of both strength or int, but more likely hybrid itemization.
Yeah. Which is awesome because, again, you get to utilize that whole item pool and just figure out where your best build is and where your comfort zone is. So let's keep moving down the list. Let's move on to the passives.
Yeah.
What passive are we
So
looking at?
Mordred's passive is kind of split into two parts. One is just really describing his energy and resource-based mechanism, and this is the biggest mirror to King Arthur. He builds his own energy. So Wrath of the Forsaken, the name of his passive, he gains his own energy resource called Wrath. You can see that in the passive meter, and based on that, just like King Arthur, he gains 2 different ultimates based on 40 and 80 Wrath. So at 40 Wrath, he'll gain access to his first ultimate, and at 80 Wrath, he'll gain access to his second, and it'll drain that amount of Wrath respectively. He gains Wrath just by attacking enemies, both minions or enemy gods with base attacks and abilities.
Okay, cool.
I actually haven't had a turn off character test sheet.
Oh, no, you're just going to go negative if you want.
Oh, it's just go negative?
Yeah, so same command, but instead of 100, do like minus whatever you want to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Cool.
So that's the description of the resource and kind of how you gain access to the ulti. The actual passive is what Pon's doing over here. It's called Shoulder Charge. It's something that we wanted to play around with. You know, we played it with Hecate. We talked about that interact feature, and we wanted to do that but different and for Mordred. So Mordred, if you use an ability, any sort of attack or a basic attack, you actually have a small window where you can use that interact button to shoulder charge and quick hit an enemy. So with his base kit, you have your first, second, third, fourth, fifth abilities and your shoulder charge. I mean, that's the way we got to do it. Right?
And I'm cheating with cooldowns. He doesn't do this that often.
Yes. Your shoulder charge passive
It has
active
a
ability
traditional ability cooldown.
has a normal ability cooldown that does scale per level.
But
You hit that jump button at the
Yeah.
right time, and you'll do this shoulder charge instead.
that is
Exactly.
Man, y'all just can't stop being creative with ways to use this feature. All right.
It does go through enemy minions, stopping on the first enemy god, knocking them up. So you can't knock up multiple enemy gods, but it's really good. It's short range, but you know we're really expecting to see you weaving this in combat.
Oh, for sure. I
It's
can
not
see
really
this
gain for,
part of lane dueling too, especially if you're
Exactly.
playing out the solo lane. You just cut right through the minion wave to start your engage, catch them off guard because they didn't think you were about to dash through. Really cool stuff. So I guess let's move on to his first ability, Cruel Strikes.
Yep, Cruel Strikes is first ability. A lot more simple, but he's got some fun nuance. I feel like I say that every time when I'm describing gods. So it's got some nuances going on. So the first thing he does is he swipes in a cone, and then he attacks down in a line. So that's doing damage on both strikes. Now, fun little nuances is that there's a bonus effect on that line strike.
Okay.
So if you do this normally, you can see right there, it's kind of that more darker red tinge, and you'll be doing bonus damage. Bonus damage actually scaling off of your protections. Playing around with that, like we said kind of earlier with the different gods. Now, the other thing is, like I said, we do expect you to be thinking about your base attacks a little bit more. So if your next attack in your chain is going to be off of Clarent instead of Morning, because you default off of Morning, then you can see the icon actually change on the bottom, and the next time you fire Cruel Strikes, you'll do a more orange tinge. The damage on the strikes themselves is the same, but the bonus effect is different. So the bonus effect is self-healing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Scaling off of protections.
So cool too that you have kind of built a weapon selection system into that ability by just layering it in with your very, very nice.
So by default, if you are in-hand canceling, or if you just use this ability by normally, you'll be doing that bonus attack damage. You attack one time with your base attacks, or twice technically, you'll gain that healing. Or if you're in the middle of an attack chain because you're going attack speed, crazy build, you're gonna have to rely a little bit more on your visual sound cues and as well as the ability changing color there.
Or complete guesswork.
Or complete guess, yeah. You know what? It's a bonus effect. It'll be good for you.
Yeah, it'll be fine. You're hitting them either way.
But both those mechanics, the passive charge and the AO1, have very high skill ceiling in-hand cancel type implications for really doing that very specific timings of the right order, getting the proper effect you need for the proper situation, or to interrupt your opponent, really making him a god who can really outplay people in the solo lane.
Yeah.
It's a big goal.
Well, and I love too that so far everything I've seen is approachable. This isn't. I don't feel like I have to be a super high skill level character to pick up this or to
Right.
Yeah, to pick up this character. But when you start to learn how to play Mordred, there are all these things that you can refine, and the skill ceiling is just so
I think the
high.
goal definitely there is approachable with a high skill ceiling.
Yeah.
That being said, AJ kind of touched upon it. You know, he was kind of designed to be a more a frontliner. We expected to see him kind of in the solo lane, but I think he absolutely has a kit. And if you want to go aggressive, it wouldn't be far fetched at all to see him kind of
I'm playing him in the jungle.
or even I've seen him Mordred supports too, surprisingly enough, because he's got some utility. But speaking about that aggressive nature, let's go on to his second ability, Blood Rage.
Yeah, I was getting ready for it.
I saw you throwing that. Like, you know what? We'll self throw. Okay, second ability, Blood Rage. Yeah, I wanted something
You have to say it
angsty
you have to
there.
say it like that.
Blood Rage. So Mordred's second ability, he kind of exclaims and yells in anger around him, dealing damage to enemies around him. Simple as that, dealing a hybrid of strength and intelligence, because we didn't talk about that, but the second ability does a hybrid of strength and intelligence. The first ability is actually just pure strength scaling.
Okay.
Then he actually, so he does the AoE damage around him. He also gets a buff of attack speed and movement speed.
All right.
That being said, while he has this buff active, every basic attack he does on an enemy will actually, and I think this got corrected at some point, so it might be wrong on the patch notes, but you actually reduce the enemy's protections, both physical and magical, and gain that stacking protections yourself. So you gain physical and magical protections whenever you hit enemies with your base attack while the 2 buff is active, and drain it from the enemies.
Brought steel on
Yes.
during the duration.
Exactly.
And can I see one more Blood Rage real quick? Because I like
Blood Rage.
on the ground too. There's like an inscription that it leaves on the ground. That is so.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Effects are
Yeah, it, like,
crazy,
fades
making
out.
this look really awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, I love that. So let's keep going then. We have ability
Yeah.
3. We have Severing Slice. Up next.
Ability 3 is Severing Slice. A little bit more simple, I think, hopefully. It's a it's a projectile, but it's kind of like it's got a smaller, thinner kind of sweet spot in it. So a little bit different than the normal rectangle
yeah.
projectiles might see. And again, the effects here, kicking ass. So hitting the projectiles it just does damage in a slow.
Yeah.
That being said, if you get hit by the center, I don't know how we would show this off, actually. You actually...
Bots orbit.
I tried Bots Orbit. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're scared of Mordred.
Okay,
That's
okay,
so true.
okay.
So if you hit an enemy with the center, an enemy god specifically, you will bleed them. Bleeding them will actually make them take more damage over time as they move.
Got it.
So the more they move,
classic
the
bleed
more if they
mechanic.
leap, if they do anything with a movement based on it, they will actually suffer increased damage for every like X amount of units that they move.
Yeah, got it.
So
You see
you-
the effect. Yeah.
Yeah, you get this bleed on you. It's not the longest duration, but be careful. Tread
Yeah.
tread
When
lightly.
you hit somebody you're chasing, or like I said, if you're bullying somebody in lane and they're trying to back off and you hit them with that as they're running back to tower, their options are stand still and you chase them down, or run away and take more damage. And all right, now I have to back anyway.
Yep. On non-god enemies like just lane minions or jungle buffs, they will just take normal dot damage instead.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then talking about the scaling again, the projectile itself does base and scales off of intelligence, while the bleed or the dot scales off of strength.
Rock and roll. Yeah, the scalings are really cool. The build diversity for him is going to be insane. But now we've made it to numero 4. We have the ultimate here. We have Heart Slice. So let's get into
Yeah,
both of
Heart
those.
Slash.
Well, like there were 2 of them. It's Slice, Heart Slash.
Believe me, trying to find adjectives like slice and all these different.
You can't use any that's been
Herbs.
used on a god ability
exactly.
before, or item.
Yeah, that has been impressive.
So, I mean, this combination wasn't there as well. But Heart Slash.
Heart Slash.
So Heart Slash, accessible at 40 Wrath. You'll deal damage to enemies in front of you in a line. If you hit an enemy god, any enemy god, including multiples, they're rooted and crippled, and you start channeling for a short period of time. During that time, they take constant damage, and you gain healing. And also, if you hit an enemy god, you also get a shield effect for that duration.
That's cool.
So this is a really good way of locking people down. Again, a slight homage to King Arthur's AF4. Honestly, both the ultimate abilities are homages to King Arthur's as well. So he's kind of got the CC effect, but he's really pulling their life force during this time.
Yeah. Again, it's that dark version, you know.
You got to put yourself at risk a little bit, but to lock down someone a little longer.
Yeah.
Yep. You can cancel this ability early, or if the enemy god themselves is CC immunity or breaks out of that route, they'll end this ability early too.
That's so great.
Oh, and you can hit AoE too.
Yeah, we changed that. We
Yeah.
were like, we got to
This was
amp
only
this up.
single
This-
target for a while.
Surprise.
The Ares combo.
This was only a single hit on the first enemy god, and then you were like, you know what? We need to amp this
I
up.
see.
A little bit.
Get the Ares.
Good thing I was so busy on those items.
Yeah, get the Ares pull, get the Zeus ult, and get that, and that's a team wipe. All right.
Yep. And then finally,
Ult
I'm not
part
joking
2.
this time. Alt Part 2, as we saw a little bit earlier. So yeah, this is Pursue the Weak. At 80 Wrath, Mordred gains access to this ability, and he can just go through the world. He's a hunter, and he's chasing down his prey. He can dash for, I think, about 5 seconds through all wall collision. And we did a lot of new tech. So there are some things to be seen there, and we talked about in the deep dive video, and I want to clarify here. We did change things within the last few weeks to kind of help performance actually with Mordred and with this ultimate ability. So the calling tech is not as perfect as we want it to be. Usually you can see in the post-process area in the center, you would call away all rocks, all materials, and you can see it happening in some places. In some places it's not as perfect as we want it to be. So that's something we are going to be sharpening up. So
Yeah,
I
we
really
recently
wanted-
had to basically redo.
You can see the floor there. That you shouldn't be able to
all
see
the stuff that we did for making sure Conquest worked really well. There are some
Yes,
things that like
had some knock-on effect.
knock-on effects on him. We will be cleaning that
You
stuff.
ever been
Yes.
so angry you couldn't see the floor? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's honestly, that's exactly what's happening. So you go through enemy minions, you stop on the first.
You can hit
enemy
the
god.
jungle camps.
Yep,
too.
you can.
Just dash right through 'em.
You stop on the first enemy god hits, and in that area around him,
Out of range.
yep, you'll hit all enemy gods, launch them up into the air, do heavy strikes, and then knock them back down.
And so aesthetic look. Like the animation for that is just incredible. Like
Yeah.
a lot of this guy's kit involves throwing his whole body into these slashes, whether it's through spins or flips, and just seeing all of those play out and how clean and smooth they look is, again, just a testament to the amount of work that's gone into
It's
Trying to get those dual swords. You know?
yeah,
Biggest
right.
swords.
animation.
Should have brought Parashu and Dreamer.
Oh, I'm doing that.
Oh, I'm doing
And while we're running around this map, we are still seeing some more really nice Conquest art changes that we didn't show before. So I wanted to shout out to those. To the environment team spent so much effort on this patch. So you notice that Pond drove over to the Fire Giant change. There was a lot of changes in the lighting and the floor texture there for better clarity, better contrast. Previously, there was a lot of reflections going on there that made it hard to see what was going on. Same changes happened at the Gold Fury side. And Pond was showing it off a little bit. The grass tech, can you show that off just real quick, Pond?
Love that
When you
grass
bring your targeter up, the grass like retracts away.
Yeah.
So
And that's so you can more clearly see, like if you had the grass clipping through all that, you might not see the targeter area very clearly.
Exactly.
Um,
Wow.
So that is a feature we have as well. There's the new Gold Fury floor. It's a lot more clear and
Yeah,
consistent.
and I
than
know
we had
that-
before.
I literally saw someone
Lighting.
working on this floor material, so I know that this is also a work in progress. But
Nice.
yeah, they're still all working on it.
Yeah, there might be some small cleanup issues still to be done, but we made a lot of changes over the last few weeks, and we just wanted to shout those out. So as we're wrapping up our in-game segment here with Mordred, took that opportunity. Do we have anything else we want to shout out on Mordred?
Yeah, that's
just
what I was
a
about to
shout
ask.
out to the teams that worked on. He really was, as
they're
always, a
super
massive labor
mega
of love. The
size. Do it
animation,
again.
effects, art, audio, programming. Oh my god!
Big old.
Just shout out to all the teams.
Oh, man.
QA programming.
Vamana is absolutely riding right now.
You're true. Take a seat, big baby.
Oh, and I know there were probably questions. If you do end the 5 seconds duration ultimate while you're in a wall, it will wait it out until you reach the end.
Yeah, that's what happened when I fell short. Is I actually had timed out in the wall, so the second I left the wall.
Yep.
It'll just
I-
let you finish charging
you
out.
Yeah, so I finished,
There,
and then
you end right immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
yeah, so
Cool.
you don't get stuck in the wall.
Cool.
Someone will probably find a way to get
Unless-
stuck in the wall. Just go
Yeah,
ahead and fill out a bug report
I'm
for us.
gonna perfectly run in circles and never leave the wall.
Please help us find additional issues, as I'm sure you will, because I know that there's going to be some. I think we had one.
There's
about-
some known issues.
I think if you can Mordred ulti another Mordred who's ulting, and if they get hit inside of a wall, funky stuff happens. So
Oh, that makes sense.
As always, I trust the community will.
As soon as
find
we
it.
go live, the Mordred mirror every game, it's going to happen a lot.
yeah,
more.
something
yeah.
funny is going to
Yeah.
happen.
It's gonna be. It's always fun. We learn about it. We fix it. We laugh about it. All right, so cool. That's it for Mordred. Again, the second brand new god to Smite 2, and something you can look forward to playtesting and inevitably finding ways to both make super powerful and break somehow next
100%.
Tuesday. 100%. Again, we love it. I love some of the bugs we've seen are so funny. But let's keep going. We still
Yep.
have more to talk about. So in the realm of gods, let's talk about what gods are going to be available to players as we get into 24/7.
Yes, we just have some general god planning and function announcements to do now. So, first of all, is the god unlock status. So, throughout the closed alpha phases, so starting with this patch CA1, the 24/7 patch Tuesday, all gods will be available for all players via the free rotation system. So even if, and this will be even if you bought the Founders Pack that gets you all gods forever, that's going to be applied later. Effectively, during this closed alpha, we wanted people to have more access to more gods, so we're going to have those all available, except for the most recent gods that launched in the most recent update. So for this update, everyone will have access to all gods except Mordred and Jingwei. Mordred and Jingwei, to play, you'll either need to unlock those via the currencies and systems we're going to talk about in a second, or own a Founders Pack.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same rules through all of the what we're calling the closed alpha phase, which we don't really have. We haven't shared specific timelines on how that's going to go or when that's going to change. But for the foreseeable future, that's the way it's going to be. And you'll notice when you go to the god page, you look at the gods in the UI, you'll see this little like clock icon on all of them. That's effectively the early implementation of the free rotation system we'll have in the future. So all of the gods are on free rotation effectively for everyone. So more gods playable to everyone in this time. Those of you who got the Founders Pack that will still become valuable in the future when that's going to go away. And we're going to have a traditional God unlock system and a traditional 5-god rotation, but you will still have all gods forever.
Yeah, and again, worth noting, all of them were free to play except for the two that'll be the most recently released. So for this one, Jing and Mordred, but that's excluded for Founders Pack. So if you have any level of Founders Pack, you're always playing all the gods as soon as they come out forever. If you nabbed a free code or got free access to the game through some other means that isn't a Founders Pack, those are the people who will, like the two most new gods will be, you'll have to unlock them manually or wait for the next.
This lets everybody play ranked.
Yeah.
Too, because if you didn't have if you didn't have enough gods, you'd have problems, right?
Yeah.
Or if we only had 5 gods on free rotation, you'd have to unlock a bunch before you could even play ranked. So there's a lot of advantages to it. You will be able to unlock gods with our new premium currency diamonds or with 100% legacy gems as well. So if you are in those situations, you'll be able to get those.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So then the next, we have another general god section, right?
Yeah, coming up next. Well, I mean, we have a few things to talk about. Yeah.
So we want to talk more about the god update cycle and the general update cycle.
Yeah,
this is a big announcement.
Yeah, this one's huge.
That we kind of sandwiched here in the middle of the show, but we wanted to put it with the god section. So yeah, big announcement is that for the closed alpha period, our full update cycle is going to be every 3 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no more 4 weeks and like bonus balance.
Yeah.
We're going to just do straight up 3-week updates.
Boom. There
so that's going to be more. It's going to be more consistent, right?
Yeah.
So this is a really big update today. Think of this like a new season launch, right?
For sure.
We've been planning for months for a lot of the features that are in this update today.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about some of the biggest ones. We had a huge amounts of community feedback, and work that went into this. So think of this like a new season almost.
Yeah.
But our next patches are going to get a little more lean and more fast and more consistent though. So you're not going to see these like big spikes as much until some future big season type things we're planning.
We'll get to that.
You're going to get these consistent 3-week patches. So let's see. We've done a lot in this patch because we had 5 weeks also as well.
Yeah, and that was one of the areas that was really worth highlighting is that we had 5 weeks to work on a lot of this feedback we've gotten through all the alpha weekends and for all the stuff. And 5 weeks is, it both felt like an eternity for like between putting out new things, but it also passed in the blink of an eye, like so
oh my
much
god.
work.
Well, for us it did.
Yeah, especially for y'all.
For y'all it felt for a long time probably. For us it felt like an absolute mad dash.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to bring the 3-week cycle in because one, it makes things a little more regular. Y'all can rely on the fact that every 3 weeks you're gonna have something new to try out. You're gonna see the feedback that you're giving us acted on in those 3-week cycles more reliably. And again, it also just gives us a chance to continue implementing new things more regularly so that we can get that invaluable feedback from y'all. So it helps us. It helps our timelines even out a little bit, I think.
Yeah, and I think players are just going to be generally more excited about it. The bonus balance, and stuff we released in the middle of an update cycle had a hard time getting visibility on it. Like even people who were excited about it, they would forget about it or they wouldn't see the announcements. So now just like a faster update cycle really just feels like a win-win for players and devs. So one key thing to note about that is gods. We are going to be shipping 2 gods with every one of these 3-week updates. So that's a god every week and a half at that pace, which is a very fast pace. I know there's a lot of discussion about how the god roster size is just a really important factor to a lot of people on their desire to play the game. And we agree. So we are really, using this new update schedule to keep a very fast and consistent god update cycle.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this in just a second, but when we talk about Ascension passes, I think this God cycle is so perfect when you see the way Ascension passes look, because theoretically you'll have 3 weeks to feel out the new, the new gods in Smite 2, climb those Ascension passes, start working on God Mastery and stuff, and then by the time that you're kind of getting to the higher levels of that, you have 2 new gods to try it with. So it's a really cool cycle. I'm excited to explain a little more as we get to Ascension.
So we will continue to be heavily player feedback driven in these update cycles. We have a couple bigger features that we're planning for further out and for specific release launches, but outside of that we'll be doing a lot of player feedback driven changes. So keep that going just like we were in the previous patches, and I'm excited to do this fast schedule. I think people are going to be just excited to play Smite more frequently, which is going to be really great.
Yeah, it's crazy how much this feels, because I mean, I don't want to. I'm losing my thoughts up here. I'm the type of person that respects things that I think are important, and I have respected this update show and next Tuesday as like the Super Bowl of this year for me, because we're starting 24/7. And when Smite original started 24/7, that was like 10 or more years ago, right? And they flipped the switch, and it has it's become a thing. It's become this beautiful 10-year-long adventure. And so to think that next Tuesday we are kicking off what will hopefully be, and what we all dream will be, another incredible, hopefully 10-year adventure into Smite 2, I can't stress how important that feels to me, and I know a lot of people around here. And the fact that it's only the beginning. Like, we're literally passing what feels like a starting line into infinite growth, hopefully, moving forward. So,
one more note on gods before we get into our
please,
player behavior stuff. I'll go off script. So we're going to continue to try to add new things to all of the gods from Smite 1, like we demoed today on Jing. We're going to try to keep that up. Some gods will get more than others, right? Like, not all gods are created equally. A lot of the gods we're focused on designing first and foremost are already very successful gods, so those don't always feel like they need as much change, whereas when we get to some of the more controversial gods down the road, there might be more changes, right?
I wonder who you could be mentioning.
we're all sweating.
It's happened to all three of us, have our own
your guess
our
in
own
chat
demons
now.
with that sentence. But that's just something to keep in mind. We're always wanting to keep adding more. And even though we're doing this schedule of fast release cadence, that does not affect their total development time. We are staggering all of these gods many, many months in advance, and we have more designers than ever and more dev team dedicated to that process. So each god is still getting a full 6-month arc. We're just staggering many, many, many of them back to back and splitting the load of designing gods across me, Pawn, Clumsy, Aggro, Ro, Lermy. We have Sam and Forrest that are joining the team, and Austin also supporting on that. So we have more god designers than we've ever had.
Yeah,
And the new engine enables us all to be in the tools working on those gods consistently.
Yeah.
So every god is going to get new features, some more than others. Every god is going to get the love and time it deserves. And every god is going to get the Pon Polish Pass, just in case we miss anything. And every god is going to get that player feedback driven Polish Pass as well.
Yeah.
So
And I think it's worth noting there too that the 3-week cycle did not come about randomly because we thought, oh, this will be nice. Like AJ said, this was something where we looked at what are we able to do, like what's the time frame that makes the most sense for us to still deliver these amazing, fully flushed out things. And so it was a ton of thought went into this. It wasn't just like, yeah, 3 weeks sounds good. It was 2-3 months of meetings and decision making and overviewing the process and refining the process and then saying this is going to be good. So
okay, we can move on to the next section. Thank you, everyone.
We still have new stuff to talk about. So this section we're calling UI/improvements, and we're starting with some of our player behavior features that'll be live with 24/7.
Yeah, so this is just kind of like a general announcement, which a lot of people have been asking about. So obviously, player behavior and keeping everybody happy and having keep sportsmanlike contact in the game. It's an important factor for us. So we have some initial features in the game ready to go for that, and then obviously this is going to be a priority for us, and we're going to keep growing it over time. So report player is an option in Smite 2. You can access this through the scorecard, the tab screen, at any time during the game. So now you can report people anytime you want during a match. In Smite 2. You can just pull this up, hit report right now, so you don't forget at the end of the match. A lot of people sometimes forget that type of thing. So if something happens, pull it up and do a report right now. However, we do not have some of these out of game front end stuff, so you won't be able to report players once you leave the match. So if you see something, report it right away.
Yeah, drop it right away.
As far as the general policy towards reporting, it's all the same as it has been really in Smite 1. And actually, we've kind of unified this, and we've done announcements over the years about unifying this across all Hi-Rez games. So if you see AFKing or not playing the game or intentionally trying to not be AFK but clearly not playing the game, those types of things, report those. Any sort of hacking of any sort, report those. Any sort of slurs or toxic chat, report those, right? Our policies are generally the same towards that. Those things will be reviewed as soon as possible, and punishments will be handed out as needed. The other features we have in the game already for you is mute options. So you can click a player's name in the lobby or during the game to access the various mute options. You can mute their voice chat, you can mute their VGS, you can mute their pings, or you can mute all of it.
Nice.
I don't even think we had those specific of mutes in Smite 1, so you can now mute those various different things. We also have deserter penalty. So if you dodge a lobby or quit a game, you will get a deserter penalty and won't be able to queue up again.
Yeah, so all just super good stuff to have, and like you said, to maintain that level of player sportsmanship that we're looking for. Because you know, Smite is at its core, it's a game, and even if it's a competitive game, the point is to have fun. So we really promote the players that are there to do that, and you know, a little slap on the wrist for those of you who don't. No troublemakers. So so let's keep moving. We have additional things to talk about outside of player behavior. We have some updates, some accolade updates, is what this is called.
Yep, the accolade system. So that's the big pop-ups that happen on the top of your screen when you do an achievement or kill a god.
Yeah.
We've updated the sound effects for killing a god, so that feels more impactful. We've added the announcer voiceover for an enemy has been slain and all of the similar lines. Enemy has been, an ally has been slain, you've been slain, enemies, whatever.
Yeah.
All of those versions. Those will only play if the kill does not have a multi-kill or a killing spree. That'll get played instead.
Okay.
We've also added voice lines for minions have spawned, your tower is under attack, Phoenix is under attack, Titan is under attack. And we have also added the gold particle effects bursts for killing minions, killing gods, and killing objectives, where if you kill a god, the gold, like in Smite 1, there'll be a gold explosion at the place of their body, and the gold particle effects and audio effects that fly back to you.
Yeah.
That combining with the accolades and the audio, further solidifying that you've killed a god successfully, really making it feel good and really improving the combat clarity.
Yeah, a lot of good player feedback for that.
Do we have capacity to go in game, Pawn? Are you in a match right now?
I am in a match right
Okay,
now.
so the next two, we're going to go to the game. We can show Pawn if you can toggle onto the item short description mode in the item store.
How do
So
I
you have to
do
go to the settings.
Live settings.
Yeah,
Also played around with this
UI,
menu,
I
I think
believe.
is
So then
talked about.
so you have a variety of. We're going to talk about more settings, but for now, the item store grid detail level, set that to not minimal, descriptive. There you go. So now you can save and hit I. Short description mode is back. This was like the default, what people are used to from Smite 1. So you can toggle this mode back on. It shows the same number of items as you can before. You'd also see we added some dividers there when you're just scrolling through. So you can see hybrid items, offensive items, defensive items, those types of things. So you get a little more clarity when you're scrolling through the shop. And every item has a short description now. So if you don't want to read the whole stats, read the whole passive, this is a quick way to just get at a glance, what does the item do?
Nice. And moving past that, the return of another beautiful feature, the K screen or slash ability screen, and its new function.
Yeah, so this screen is now going to work by pressing Control by defunctions.
Yep.
That's the control screen.
Mordred.
They brought back the K screen as a control screen.
Yeah, true.
This is the screen that functioned like the K screen, functions like the K screen from Smite 1. So a lot of exciting things here. First of all, Mordred is one of the wordier gods, but we rewrote every god description in the game from the alpha weekends for better clarity, better spacing, and we want to have short descriptions that are clear and to the point.
Yeah.
So we rewrote everything to fit in this screen for everyone, except for Wrath of the Forsaken. It was like the only one we just barely didn't get fitting in time.
Yeah.
So that's all been rewritten. You can now press this screen at any time to read your ability short descriptions, see your cooldown and mana costs, etc. You can also use this ability to level up, which if you want to switch class and set yourself to like not level 1, but some level in like the middle, like level 5 or 10.
Yeah.
And put a point in one of your items or one of your abilities already by pressing button 1 while you're pressing Control.
Sure, I see what
Now you have another point.
Ooh.
You can see at a glance
so
so put a point
know
in
about
2, 3, 4. And now you can, at a glance, if you're trying to decide which one do I want to rank up next, you can see, okay, which one gets the biggest damage boost. Okay, 50 to 90, 55 to 80, 55 to 85. Okay, I'm going to go 50 to 90 because that's the biggest just number, right? Boom. So you can do that type of stuff. Really nice. Shows how much the cooldown goes down and the mana cost goes down. Shows how much the damage goes up. Shows a lot of the various variables. Anything that scales per rank should populate in that section.
Yeah, and very cool to see that you can use it to level up as well, and that it doesn't block out the entire screen.
And this is especially important for console players because many console players would use a sort of D-pad and then press the button to rank up as opposed to the double button presses.
Yeah.
And this is the method that you will do that, and it'll be the exact same buttons as it was on Smite 1.
Super awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're always thinking of both our PC and console homies. So
Very much so.
never a player forgotten. So now, we talked about this a second ago, but we have some more setting changes beyond just the being able to change the description mode for the item store.
We do. We now we wanted to actually correct ourselves from the Inside Show.
Hey.
Individual god casting settings are saved per god. So you go to the gameplay section and you can set, and if you change this off a use global setting to instant cast, it will save that instant cast for only the god you're currently playing. So you can set Mordred ability 1 to instant cast, and they will not affect when you load into this setting menu on a different god. You will have different settings here, all defaulted back to global until you change them.
Yeah.
And we also have color blindness modes, which is another one I think that's in usability. So we have color correction. So you can now toggle through these. It should work. You can just turn it on right now to get it'll put a slightly different color tone to the whole. This is kind of like the more traditional blue-yellow one that was kind of similar to Smite 1, but it applies to everything in the game.
Yeah.
Particle effects, the environment. So Smite 1's was pretty limited. It only really affected UI, I think. That's it. This one affects everything. So this is a pretty cool feature that Unreal Engine grants us. And, this is just the start of these type of features, too.
Yeah, just the beginning of various usability things, but I know we're working on a lot of those. Cool to see one already in for closed alpha, though. Super excited about that. And to move beyond that, and this correlates with some of the settings, but I know that there's been a lot of work put in for performance improvements kind of across the board. So kind of explain some of those to me. That's
right. So, we know this is just kind of a given, but we wanted to shout it out anyway. The game runs better than it did in the alpha weekends. We really just put a lot of dedicated programming work and artwork into getting our FPS up from the alpha weekends to this patch. Like, we knew this was something important. This is something we were planning for all along. The alpha weekends were just earlier builds of the game, and for this was the time that we really put in a huge sprint to really improve that. So you'll notice a few changes to your graphics settings in the setting menu. Some things might be reset to defaults and certain things for you. Also, we had, when we were talking about the art style changes, depending on your settings, we had very inconsistent appearance of the game, depending on different settings. A lot of that stuff has been fixed. Like, one thing, if you put on low settings, just made the whole game way brighter.
This is low now? Oh, hell yeah.
Wow.
That is so very different than what it was like 3
years ago. But in alpha weekends, if you set something to all low, it would make the whole game, like, way bright. And so obviously people were complaining about maybe our art style because it just didn't look intended at all. We fixed a lot of that. A lot of these settings have had behind the scenes programming work done to make them more impactful. So, like, specifically we called out earlier particle effects. When you turn down the particle effects quality detail, you actually do see a lot changes in the particle effects that's going to give you better FPS. So a lot of dedicated work from the environment team, programming teams, and particle effects teams to make sure number one, the game's just baseline performance is better, and number two, you have more power to control your performance as you see fit based on what graphics settings you have.
And the level of effort, like, for example, we were looking at traces every single day, and Jordan pinged design saying, hey, why is Mystical Male taking 30 FPS off the game? Well, our emitter that we design tempted had 1,000 emitters, so we did not escape anyone's eye either.
A lot of designer-made temp effects were causing performance issues as well. So we
lots of focus on it.
Cleaned up all those. Just gameplay logic, designer coded blueprinting, blueprints, which is essentially code scripting, was improved for performance. Just a lot of push stuff for performance.
But like I said, it was with his design team, program team, like every team had parts that could be made better, and that's something that we wanted to do and we made sure to do alongside all the other stuff that needed to just get done for this patch too. And honestly, massive kudos to the team, because performance is not something that we take lightly, but we also need to do that alongside making the game better and adding more.
And it was cool that we were finally able to hit that, because for the longest time it was make this game feel like Smite, which we've done pretty well. Obviously there's always still work to do, and we're still working hard, but we got that. And then it was make it look more like a Smite game, make it run like a well-made game, and we're able to start checking more of those boxes as we've been able to put more time in, and we're still working on those things. So it's been inspiring to watch.
All right, last few things. We got to keep moving.
Let's keep moving.
Voice chat is in, and push to talk is on by default. So push to talk on by default means that console players will need to do some configuration to use it, I believe, because not all configuration setups will have a default push to talk button. You'll either need to change that to open talk, or you'll need to set a button. But voice chat is active. That will work, I believe, in all parts of the game. Does that work in the very front end too? It definitely works in the lobby. So to work in the lobby, the god selection screen with your party and any other players that happen to be on your team in that screen, and it works during the game.
Nice.
And yeah, we will continue to expand voice chat features as we go forward. But it's ready here, and it's got push to talk by default, so you won't get blown out by accidental
Yeah.
audio, which was happening a lot when it was just defaulting to open chat.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
And then the last little thing here looks like just a pass to visual effects, opacity, and quality, which I think we kind of talked about. With
No, this is a specific edition.
Ooh, very specific.
Not just the
Okay.
not just the performance issue. We now have 3 different particle effects sliders, so you can actually change the opacity on ally, enemy, or self particle effects. So if you want to effectively turn off they're in video, at the bottom. If you want to turn off your self particle effects, you can slide that slider very low down, and your particle effects emitting from your god. We don't let you turn them off, but they become very faint. So I guess maybe the
Yeah,
2.
see.
Whoa, it's so cool to see in
wow.
action. I
would show
barely
this-
used that.
Would use this really well.
This was added like
Use your blood ring.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
wow.
if you
That's
really
so
want to only see ally stuff, you can hone in on that and keep ally or enemies at 100 and put allies and self lower or any combination of it. It's just really powerful control. Everything's gonna be up at 100 by default. But if you're like pro players who like to turn everything down, people with specific sensitivities towards particle effects, these are like, so you can just set it everything at 50 and the whole game's just like a little less intense,
Yeah.
if you need to. But
What a cool.
everything's designed to feel impactful and clear and not noisy at 100.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of value to a variety of player types who might want to use that
Yeah,
setting.
just giving the player the control over that.
I'm gonna
so.
turn allies and enemies to like 0 and just
Yeah.
be the protagonist of my own game.
Dude, true. They're all just swinging swords.
That feels like the least effective way to set this up for winning,
Oh,
for
no, I'm
winning
just
games.
memeing.
It's the most aesthetic way.
Oh, why did that chalk alt hit me? That was unfair.
gonna turn
Come
all the
go
HUD
complain
off.
on
Just
Reddit about it.
because.
Oh wait, my enemy particle effects were set to 10.
Oh god, that's something
Someone probably will do that.
We're gonna need that on the QA form as well.
Every time
Please
someone
make sure to
says,
put in
I
your
can't
pass.
tell I was hit by this, we'll have to be like, what's your particle effects
Yeah.
capacity set to?
Dude, I'm ready for the challenge run. Like, no enemy
no.
particle effect climb to deity. There we go.
Okay, we have, oh my god, we have 2 more big sections to
Yeah,
show.
so let's
okay,
keep
so
moving.
let's see the home screen.
Yeah, so now we're going into the home screen. We're stepping out of the end game, and we're looking at what Smite looks like from the home screen.
So as some of you might remember, the alpha weekend home screen looked very temp, and
Yeah.
that's because it was.
Let me make sure.
we're right.
Let me make sure there's nothing on here that's gonna be.
Yeah.
That's true. That would
Production
be
hold
important.
off for a second.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about this pawn. You maybe could switch to PTS for it if there's anything sketchy.
Well, if you want me to go to the god.
We are gonna have to go through gods.
Okay, well then
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
I will need to go to PTS. Let me
Okay.
go.
Yeah,
Well,
let me go
we'll
do that.
we'll talk about the next few things. I think we have some screenshots to show, so we can come back to this. But we're going to show the updated home screen art and design.
Yeah.
It's not finished yet, but it's definitely much better than the Alpha Weekend 4, and it looks really good. It's
you'll
representative
see it
of
in a
what we
second.
want. We're going to talk about card art returning.
Oh yeah, and that's a big point. That's a point we've talked about. We just had a video go out about it recently. Y'all
Yeah.
talked about it last time, but it's such an important piece of community feedback. We were happy we could action on. Card arts are back.
So, a couple notes about card art is just that, we got the feedback about the renders. People weren't really feeling them, so we are bringing back illustrated card art.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to have theirs ready for this update.
Yeah.
There's still going to be a lot of renders in the game. There's going to be a few gods that have their, like gods like Hecate and Mordred. We don't have any previous card art to work off of.
Brand new.
Gods from Smite 1 will reference their Smite 1 card art, but we'll have some touch-ups being done.
Yeah.
We're trying not to change them too heavily. Some of the earlier versions we already did, we showed. People felt like we overdid that, so we're already doing some revisions on like Jing
Okay.
to bring it back somewhere more in the middle. People were really happy with a couple of the other ones we did, like Loki.
Yeah, Loki was a good.
There was I think we have a before and after we can show.
Yeah, for Loki.
So we can show the updates for that. If
And once we're done with this, we can also I have the home screen.
Nice.
and we've already gotten a lot more feedback about just the first card arts we have in Smite 2. The size of card arts in the UI is a little different, so we have to adjust for that. We have gods like Ymir and Sol are cropped in a little bit. We're going to be looking about cropping them back out, giving them a little bit more space. So there's going to be more changes to that coming forward in the future. But TLDR, all gods in Smite 2 will have true hand-painted illustrated card arts for their loading screens and the selection screen. So here is old Smite 1 Loki. He's purple for some reason. No disrespect to the original artist. Like, we were very stylized and cartoony back then.
Yeah.
We stylized things up a lot, and we took a lot of artistic liberties.
Yeah, artistic direction changes dramatically over 10 years.
Yeah, so then in Smite 2, we've cleaned this up to look a lot more like what Loki actually looks like, color corrected it a little bit for the lighting, made him, sharpened things up. So
Yeah, just
expect this level of change with each card art.
very cool. So again, I think you said that we
Home screen time.
check in. So yeah, let's
Yep, we're
look at
good.
the home screen.
And then we're going to pretty much live in game looking at the home screen for the rest of this patch show.
rest of my life starting Tuesday.
Ah,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
It's a lot cleaner, right? we had a very boilerplate like functional one. It was very functional. That was important, was function. But now we're actually trying to get some style and design in here. So you've seen multiple updates to the art, the fonts, the sizing, the spacing of a lot of things. We've got this animated MoGraph Hecate in the background.
Is there going to be a pom-pom video at the beginning of this?
There is no longer a Pon video. Has been removed.
Was it intentional that the Morgan is the background for the reported bug?
Probably.
Someone definitely did that on
Probably.
purpose. It has to be.
Probably. So yeah, this looks really nice. And we're going to talk about a few things on the screen while we're here. We're going to talk about currency.
Yeah, let's talk about what the currency system is going to look like for Smite 2.
So Pon doesn't have any, or Big Mac Boy doesn't have any currency.
That's what I was laughing
This is not my account.
This is definitely
Maybe we should have logged
Chat
into a different
absolutely
account for
picked
this.
up
but-
on it.
So
a
you can
dev
see the blue diamonds up there. Those are diamonds. That's going to be the new premium currency for Smite 2. And you also will see your legacy gems, green Smite 1 gems up there at the same time. Those are going to be the only 2 currencies in Smite for the closed alpha phase.
Yeah, and something really important. So this is a shout out. We've talked about legacy gems a lot, right? And legacy gems are something that you get if you are a former Smite player who is moving into Smite 2. It's kind of our gift to you for stepping over from Smite 1 into Smite 2. It's all of the gems you've ever spent returned as legacy gems, or double if you buy a certain.
Mac Boy, sorry.
Yeah, it's distracting me. But so and double if you buy certain founders packs, right? But to just be super clear about what legacy gems do, they are basically just a tremendous pile of 50% off coupons, or for some things 100% off coupons that lets you buy things in games. So you'll see this in a little bit. Well, I guess we don't have any legacy gems on this account, so you won't see it, but as you get
It will only present the option to you in the purchase flow if you own legacy gems.
Yeah, and what
so we can't demo it on this test account.
Yeah, but so say you have diamonds and legacy gems and you want to buy an Ascension Pass, which we'll be looking at here shortly. If you just have diamonds, it'll show you the full price. You buy it with diamonds, rock and roll. If you have legacy gems as well, you will see two different currencies displayed on the buy this. You'll see the diamond price and the legacy gem price, because it's saying, hey, you have legacy gems, you can pay for half of it with legacy gems and half of it for diamonds. So again, it's just a 50% off coupon for most things. There will be a few things that you can't use legacy gems on, but there will also be a few things that you can use. You can buy 100% with legacy gems. So we'll get more into that as we continue on into the future, but just an important note that legacy gems are going to be, for those of you who are coming over and spent a lot of time and money in Smite 1, you're really going to be getting some value out of those as we push forward into the future of Smite 2.
So then we have ways to get free diamonds.
That's important.
Which it is a premium currency, but as we are in Smite tradition, we want to make it accessible to players. You will have ways to do that. So, Pon, if you want to navigate to the player profile, I think you can get a glimpse at the daily login system there. Boom. Daily logins.
Looks like a lot of diamonds.
So you can get 225 diamonds per week. For free.
That's a lot.
Through the daily 100 diamonds. 225 is from the masteries. My bad.
We'll get there.
100 diamonds per week for the 7 days across the daily logins. And your progress never resets. If you miss a day, don't feel bad. You'll still progress to the next day to get that bigger. So 100 diamonds every 7 days. Then what we're going to show soon when we go to the God Ascension and Mastery tracks, you'll be able to get 225 diamonds for free from leveling up a God from Mastery level 1 to Mastery level 10, and 225 diamonds paid back to you for mastering a God through the Ascension levels, from mastering it to level 1 to level 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, that seems like a good time to go and look at the Ascension Passes / Mastery tracks. So let's check those out.
Every God will have one. I forgot who we said we wanted to demo. Maybe...
Yeah, we just got to choose
Hades?
Sure, let's do Hades.
He has a really funny emote, so we'll get there. So when you get to the God screen, you'll default at the abilities, but you now see we'll have added Mastery and Loadout.
Ooh, we do have
Oh, it
some
looks
legacy.
like I got gems.
Oh, someone gives.
Yeah,
someone's
TD is just working on
probably
it.
watching right
Somebody
now.
literally is right now.
What a saint.
Big Mac Boy is
80
earning money.
Kitten of
best.
Doom is a saint, or whoever else helped. Mastery and Loadout you also
80
see
got
here,
that.
and
That's good.
and the ability to unlock the God if you don't. So let's look at the Mastery. Here's the path that every God is going to have this.
Oh,
and they gave us
And wow,
27
Oh my god.
I think 2.7 mil.
This is what it feels like to be a dev.
Yeah.
TD, you got that from my live account, right? Like, hook me up right now, please.
Yeah.
So
After the stream, we'll talk.
first of all, this is where you can get all the stuff for leveling up your mastery. So play Hades in PvP or AI matches, earn worshippers, and level up your mastery and earn these things as you go.
Yeah.
So you'll see the ones that are labeled free, you get just as you level up the God. don't have to do anything else.
Yeah,
and then
the game.
all the things that are gold with the lock, you have to unlock the Ascension Pass to get all of those rewards. Things I'm supposed to call out here is if you have the deluxe or ultimate passes, you will get the first 11 gods Ascension Pass default automatically unlocked, or all 23 if you have the ultimate pass.
Yeah, Ultimate Edition gives you all of them. So good. And again, worth noting that like on the free pass, you're getting a lot of cool stuff. You're getting the wave emote, the clap emote, you're getting free diamonds, and you're getting, you know, some of the stuff we'll talk about in a second, the new tracker systems and stuff.
We went through every reward on the Inside Show, so I want to be careful to not take too much time doing it again. But yeah, let's just go through the rewards real quick from the start. So Ascension, if you unlock Ascension, you immediately get Shadow Skin. If we can, let's see it. Ooh, we love it. Okay. You get the click it. You get the Light Heals tracker. Tracks how much Hades has healed allied gods with the Devour Souls consuming blight. You get a Mastery emote. This will be a new VGS input that you'll always be able to use in addition to other emotes. They'll show, and this will change depending on what your current Mastery level is.
Your current Mastery level.
And you'll get a permanent 25% Worshipper boost for this god only forever.
Yeah.
So then level 1, clap emote plus 10 diamonds. Level 2, objectives destroyed tracker.
Yep.
Level 3, God assist tracker plus 20 diamonds. Level 4, agonized god. So the total time gods have been spent stuck in the pillar of agony.
That's so good.
Tracker. Level 5, a free skin, the Onyx skin.
Yeah, the
kind of our new
black
like
and gold.
default mastery skin. Yeah. And 30 gems. Or if you have the Ascension, you also get the new Opal skin, a completely new recolor that everyone has. Generally, every god follows the same formula. They get the same things at the same levels.
Yeah.
Level 6 are new hilarious global emotes.
They are so memey. Our team has gone nuts with them.
And our global emotes have a variety of changes now. They have a friendly versus, or they have self versus everyone else views. So when you fire a global emote, everyone else will see the large one up in the air. But when you use it, it'll kind of appear over your shoulder behind your god, so you can see it a lot more clear on the frame. Because most of the time you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
It works really good for content and just for memeing. If you're a streamer, it's really fun.
It's super cool.
Yeah, and every god has a new one of those. Go check them out. They're hilarious. Level 7 is Wave plus 40 gems. Level 8 is a title related to your god.
The Underworld King, Big Back
Back
Boy.
Big Back Boy is going to be a meme forever. Rank level 9, God Kill Tracker. God stats return to loading frames. By the way, when we say trackers, you display those on the on your loading screen, kind of like they're demoed here.
Yep.
So you can now customize your loading frame with these kind of standard kills, assists, objectives tracker, or your God-specific special
You
trackers.
don't need to hear that feedback anymore.
And finally, we can stop hearing God stats on loading frames.
Yeah, we did
And
it.
then finally, at level 10, you'll unlock for free this badge that you can show off that you hit a level 10 Mastery on the God, a big spike of diamonds. And for the Ascension Pass, you'll get the Radiant skin, the big chunk of diamonds all at once, and our new card effects, we're calling them.
Yeah, and there's a different one of those for each different god you get to rank 10, and all of them are so cool. Ares is probably one of my favorite, just off rip. It is like, we showed it off in the Dev Inside, I believe. It's chains, it's incredible.
Oh my gosh,
but
I love that.
This is a really cool system for y'all to go and look at for yourselves. So starting next Tuesday, every single one of the gods has an Ascension Pass that follows this general layout. You get a ton of incredible rewards, a ton of free diamonds, so premium currency, and then as it says there at the very end, once you've run the gauntlet, you have all the rewards, you will continue earning Mastery Stars forever after you complete this gauntlet. So
Do you want to demo actually buying this?
Yes,
Sure.
go for it. Buy that. I don't think we're going to get some things. Yeah, cool.
So
0 Blight Heals, but you'll get more.
Yeah, you get all the.
We actually are going to start trackers. Like, we have a lot of details about the individual cosmetics in the patch notes. I'm not going to go over all of them today, but we have skins, trackers, badges, card effects, animation emotes, mastery emotes, global emotes, titles. So those are kind of the cosmetic types, and all of their specific rules are labeled in the patch notes. I think for today, we'll just go to loadout next.
Yeah, let's check out the loadout.
So cool thing about Smite 2 is we now have god-specific loadouts. So many of the cosmetics, in fact, most of them will be customized at a god level. So your Hades card by default will look completely different, customized completely different than your Anubis card.
Yeah.
You can pick completely different trackers, completely different effects, completely different badges, whatever. So first you can check skins. Next up, we have badges. I don't think we have many unlocked, so it'll be hard to demo them, but you can see the way they are placed on the bottom of your badge. You can preview your whole card.
Yeah.
If we had these unlocked, you would be able to click equip, and then you'd be able to choose the position, and you can choose up to 3 badges across the bottom of your screen.
Like left, right, and middle.
Right. And then you have trackers. Those display just above the badges, and you can have up to 2 trackers. So here we have the blight seals. We can confirm it. We can place it. There's maybe still some bugs on locking in and previewing these things, but you can set up a fully functional card art. And then finally we have the card effects, and I think we let you preview all of these even if you don't own them.
Yeah.
You can
They're
kind of
so
each one of these are designed to be inspired by a specific god, but you can equip these on any god.
Yeah.
These are not god like most of our cosmetics, although they're unlocked from a god track and they're inspired by the design of a god, they're fully mixed and matchable. So
Yeah.
if you want to set up your Hades with
Yeah,
full,
I want this one on Hades.
if you want to set up full kawaii Jingwei stuff on your Hades card, go for it.
Yes.
Go for it. Please do. And then
going
you can
through the
pick
fun.
a
I haven't seen
cutesy
these.
Hades skin
Awesome.
that you like. You even pick a skin. The only main thing I'll add is the card art, the character. That'll always
that one
change
goes
to
over
whatever
the card.
god or skin you're
God
playing.
and skin you're using.
But everything else is fully customizable and will
There's the
save
Ares
per
one.
There's
god.
the
Oh, the Ares one is
Yeah.
dope.
Those chains are so cool.
Yeah, and these are really cool.
Guessing.
Yeah, so absolutely
Fenrir, I
incredible.
think?
Established.
These are awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense. Established again through each god. It's just a really cool way to be individual and to show off like this is my style. And again, trackers are something that we've gotten a lot of feedback about in the past.
Stats on loading frames are
Stats
back.
on loading.
And now we have really cool stats that can actually be meaningful and fun instead of just like the.
I have unlocked everything.
Someone did it
Oh,
again. Yeah,
Katie.
let's do it.
Man, you are so good at this game.
So, and these are also previewing all of the Divine Legacy rewards that you'll be able to get. If you had Tier 5
Thank you, Katie.
Hades, you can equip that Blight Crow Hades badge now.
Yeah.
And the only way to get those badges are to have that item in Smite 1.
Yeah.
So you'll see a variety of the Smite 1 beta tester. I think that's the console version. There's a variety of the Divine
there's
Legacy
a bunch.
achievements. They all grant these badges here. I love the Sobek one just because I like Sobek, but it just
Toss this one on there.
oh, you're a boomer. You're a Smite boomer card
Absolutely.
setup. This
Where's
is what
my convention call? There we go.
convention college.
You need to be there.
This is peak what mine's
Yep.
gonna be.
peak.
There you see. I love it. The
Smite player.
matching thematic border with the god, and then I'm a boomer badges.
Wow.
White heels. Put a title on. Put a title on.
Let's see.
Oh, title. You have to go to player. here. So player. So let's go back to the player profile. Let's do the last 3 cosmetics. So the ones that are account wide are you pick a badge. Any badge you've unlocked can be served as an avatar,
Oh.
which you will display as in your party menu and the UI and stuff like that. So pawn whichever.
Yeah,
one you-
definitely.
Beta tester again.
Yeah, continuing with beta tester.
Equip it, and you'll see at the top right, it became that. And if you back out, you'll see your profile now shows it there.
That's really cool.
And the home screen will show it too. And then you also have your titles. Titles are applied to all gods. So when you pick your title, Executioner, it's kind of your title. It's like, it's not Executioner Hades, it's Executioner Big Mac
I'm
Boy.
definitely a Somali.
Sommelier.
Sommelier.
Oh, that's
Sommelier
so
of
good.
Big Macs. Notes of
Tactical
fruits in
Big
this
Mac.
one. Yeah, and then finally we have the global emotes. These are not god specific either. These are just account specific. But we have
Now we get to see all of them.
these
This is
won't
so
these
good.
all animate in game. You can't see the full animation preview here,
Oh,
but you
gotcha.
can quickly
Yeah.
preview all of them here, even if you haven't.
Oh.
They're so good.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. All right. We can't look at them all. We got to
Yeah.
save something for people to go and look at. So from here, I guess it seems like you were given most everything in the game. So do we want to get right into a couple of the skins people can look forward to from here? We can probably just go straight to them in game here. So first up we have, and this is exciting, our very first brand new Smite 2 skin. So exclusive brand new to Smite 2 skin because it's Hecate. It's Lunar Hex Hecate. So you can go into the loadout area and
There it is.
we have Witch Hecate.
Nice.
You
Wow.
can equip it, and
Yeah.
you can go to abilities. Did we get rid of the practice button here? Did that have a
Uh,
bug?
Oh, yeah,
It's
it'll
here.
have to be here.
Enter
Yeah.
practice. I wonder if it'll come in with the skin or not.
I would.
No,
So,
default skin.
unfortunate.
Okay, practice mode is still default skins. I just was mostly curious. Okay, Pawn, you're gonna have to switch modes and get us in the game with the
Yeah,
Lunar
so we
Hex
can check
skin,
this. Yeah, we're gonna look at the skin in game, so we'll get there in a sec. But yeah,
Surrender trick practice.
Yeah, it was too tough.
it was
though. You lost jungle practice.
I didn't know.
that was
Yeah, I didn't know you
possible.
could do that.
It's just called practice now. By the way, we dropped the jungle.
Oh.
I guess that makes sense a little bit, huh?
It's not really a jungle. It was called that from like archaic Smite 1.
Yeah.
Like really old Smite 1 lore of why it was even called that in
Yeah.
the first place, right?
And
So
Or Smite boomer knowledge. So
now the real question is, do I have GM cheats on this account.
Did you
KD,
switch
quick.
Oh, you switched accounts, so you won't be
He's
able
Big
to
Mac boy.
switch
He's
class,
not
or
in.
we'll have to log out to pick the other skin.
Yeah.
Katie, we need you. You should. Okay, Katie says, but yeah.
See, Katie's got us taken care of. So again, super exciting though.
Giving a
because
demo
this is,
here of the lobby pick if just people.
Oh,
haven't seen it
you
before.
might need to
true.
relog.
You're getting the full experience here. But yeah, this is the first Smite 2 specific skin. So our first Smite 2, new to Smite 2 God.
Default equipped here.
Yeah, because you use the default selector. So
I didn't think
what
it
a
was
great
working
skin.
practice, but I was curious.
See, we're learning, always learning.
You can't. We don't currently have the feature for everyone to play all skins for free in practice yet either, but that'll be something we work on in the future.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, so just super.
You didn't
exciting.
customize your Hecate
Yeah.
card, so we
I
don't
am a
see it.
Somali Aster.
You are still
Yeah, you are
Somali.
Somali.
Big Mac boy knows his Big Macs.
Yeah. But no, so cool to start seeing us be able to design and implement skins just for the new. game.
Does level up not work, Pawn?
I don't. Well, I can't bring up the.
I'll press escape,
You have to use the
Debug
debug
HUD.
menu.
and now you can use that command.
Aha!
Look at that.
Oh,
I
something
don't
be-
remember how to get rid of the menu.
Oh, it worked.
I don't remember how to.
Katie, how do you get
Um,
rid of the menu again? It's a command there. End debug or something?
Oh man, see, this is why I love.
Are
This.
you in chat?
Yeah, I'm
Who's
in chat.
Is we're just like this is just the real experience. No, like y'all are
There's a
seeing one
command
for
to get
one
rid of
the
it.
way that we work through stuff. So
People won't mind
Debug
looking
HUD.
at
It's
a.
No.
debug space HUD supposedly.
Oh,
But no, in that command line.
Yay. Okay.
you can tell that I don't do as much in this environment versus
yeah,
dev.
more the dev environment. All right, well let's see some of the abilities for this skin. Just
Yeah.
it's
live
yeah.
check. But yeah, no, to rein it in. Super excited to see. Oh wow, that's awesome. That's cute.
no, those
It's
commands
a
are
little
not for
bit
the
more of a cuter take on a witch. For
Yeah,
this,
it's
for this
less
skin.
like-
she's very serious by default, so we went a
I
little bit
love the
fun for her first.
Yeah.
Similar like general theming is what you'd expect Hecate, but a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring up the debug HUD again. We're going to. Oh, debug HUD again.
Sometimes it goes away, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, now I have someone we can hit.
Now we have a Ymir to hit.
You can see a lot of the stars, sparkly stars and moons on all the
Yeah.
particle effects here. Yeah, so this is a full, we have new skin types,
Yeah.
which are labeled in the UI, and are labeled in the patch notes, ranking up from essentially like, tiers of rarity like you're used to in an RPG, like
Yeah.
green, blue, purple, orange.
Yeah, it's a very cool system.
So this one has is what you'd be used to as a your normal Smite one complete skin. It's gonna have full particle effects update, voice acting update, model update. Yeah,
Yeah, and overall, just again, really cool to see, and it's something that we're just now getting into being able to start with. Is again using all of this new technology and breaking into this tool and creating brand new skins for Smite 2. So, very very cool and very. I don't know, again, another one of those monumental things where we get to see our first Smite 2 God get her first actual skin. So, really excited for it. I love the theme. I love the look of it. But we do have one more skin to talk about, which I'm excited for. So, I don't know, are we going to have to...
no, he should be able to switch
Yeah.
class.
All right, so-
Wait, no, the switching classes per skin is a huge pain.
Is it?
Well, yes, because it won't autofill, and I have no clue
I don't.
what skin ID this is going to be.
Okay, that's fine. So, we can hop
Let's
back...
go look at it on the UI and
Yeah,
then
we
load
can hop
in
back into
again.
the main
Let's
menu.
show the skin rarities. Let's just show it
Yeah,
off.
let's hop
Right.
back into the main menu. Because as
Again, couldn't handle the Ymir bot.
yeah,
It's too strong.
no, he did it. He really put his heart
GG.
into it. His cold, unfeeling, icy heart. So I guess to preface it before we get there, the next skin that we are about to show y'all is for Loki. We have Jokey Loki, and this one has a little bit of a preface to it. So this is a classic Smite skin. And what that means is this is the type of skin that you will be able to purchase for 100% legacy gems.
Nice.
So there
As
will
you can
be,
see, it is labeled there classic, and
Yep.
so it'll tell you it's sort of like rarity type and it's availability type.
Yeah. So the classic Smite skins are, a theme of skins that are going to be referenced from Smite 1, And we thought, what's a good way to do that makes sense? Because people still want these, but, it'd feel bad being like, all right, now give us all your diamonds for this. So if you have legacy gems, you can just buy it for 100% legacy gems and have that skin that you missed from Smite 1 back in your possession. So
That's right.
something we'll be able to do, and obviously we'll roll these out as we're able to. It's like every skin, it's something that we'll work on over time, and there'll be more as the future comes at us. But this is the first instance of it, and we're excited that it's scary clown Loki.
Yeah, and if you want to quickly,
Hop in game.
hop in
let's
game,
do
we'll
it.
show off a quick demo of the abilities. It's again, has to have all new particle effects set up.
I
in
can
the new
actually,
engine.
just for quicker, because I think this will actually go through the selection
Ooh, cool.
process
Ooh,
practice.
nice. Man, these menus are so clean looking. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we have the change role button in here too. That I don't know, we didn't show off all this stuff. It's been in the game for a while, but you can view abilities, you can choose change role, and you can see the gods' general details. So like their base stats and stuff like that. Rankings are all visible to you here in the lobby.
yeah, and we kind of jumped through it, but as you saw in there too, there are all the little clocks like also on that screen, so you can see which that.
The auto build picker, the relic picker.
Yeah.
We have those new confirmed purchase confirm pop-ups to help you show when you got items, especially if you're on auto builds and you're never opening the item store. It's nice to see those to tell you when you bought something.
Yeah.
Ooh, sparkly.
That is sparkly. Ooh. The color pattern is so fun.
Yeah, he's like a mad jester, right?
Yeah.
So it fits.
It does fit very well. So I mean, always a joy to see these things come to life with all of the new.
Are we still on any sort of particle opacity settings, Pon, or lowest settings, or did you reset all?
These would be default.
Okay,
Cool.
cool.
Yeah, 'cause we changed
High and everything's on. Okay, cool. I just wanted to check, but it looks good. I mean, I thought it looked good. I just wanted to double check.
I love that.
Yeah, I agree.
Love the pulses.
Yeah.
There's all this like glitter kind of in there too. Like all
And
the
then-
particle effects are crazy.
Just to also remind people that there's all these. If you hit tab, you get access to all these cheats, and you can spawn a tankier bot because this Ymir is dying very fast, and he'll be
Squishy mirror. And yeah, because I remember that system's really cool because like
You can donate the whole inventory.
yeah, you can create builds for them. So you can test like build v build. Very very intuitive and definitely a little easier to use than like the 57 buttons on the floor. So, but
Yeah, I mean, even in here, we can call out. We still made some HUD adjustments. We've done some HUD art updates, the borders of things, to better fit the contrast of the game, better pop, so it doesn't blur into the background.
Yeah.
We adjusted the ally and enemy team bars to put the allies in a place you're more used to from Smite 1. Just a lot of stuff
a
coming
myriad
in
of updates.
constantly.
Again, we
this whole
talked
practice map is a lot more fleshed out now. And
I love this
actually works.
outer area. You can see the outside and stuff. What the?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's gorgeous.
It is.
Practice goes hard.
Yeah.
Practice goes real hard.
Practice has no business going this hard.
Oh man, all right.
Outer
Well,
lane area is also so cool.
I think we just wanted to throw off a last few things we're seeing. There's just so much went into this build.
Yeah.
We're officially done, I think, at this point with the stuff in the game build. Danny's going to do a few announcements of some really exciting out of game stuff, but this is essentially it. Any last things? Big shout outs to everyone on the dev team.
Oh,
Thank you so much across every department. Big thank you for the efforts you put in recently, and big thank you to all the devs for really taking the community feedback seriously.
Oh yeah.
It can be a real time consuming for us to filter through all that and like work through it, but it's worth it.
Oh,
And everyone on every department has been on board with that and very humble about it, and it's really meaningful. And I want to just thank you all for your patience and your perseverance through your hard work and your understanding of all that feedback and all the work we did these last few weeks.
Yeah.
And just to fully appreciate the scale of it, definitely go even if you don't read all the patch notes, just go scroll through them just to get
Go through it once for Pod and AJ.
a sense of all the things that are there. There's so many things we didn't cover, given just the time constraints of the show, that are really, really interesting, and a lot of teams have put in effort to make sure that this is the best closed alpha experience we can give you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it once earlier. 41 like size 11 or 12 font, standard Times New Roman, 41 pages of Google document that made up these patch notes minimum. And again, like there are still some things that maybe like they cut back the wording to not be too verbose after 41 pages. Like it has been insane. And again, it's just a huge shout out to not only the entire team and every department who's worked tirelessly to deliver this to y'all, but for y'all as well for working with us. Like this, from the beginning, we wanted this process to be something that wasn't just us delivering a product to you. It was us working with y'all to create something that we all love, because
Absolutely.
Smite isn't just a game for a lot of people here. Smite has been a lifestyle. Smite has been like a passion. And the people who have been working here, there are people who are like, no, like I could stop working right now, but I'm having fun. I want this to be better. I'm excited about this. And the amount of time that people have just sat around working out of the passion of their hearts to make this awesome. I could talk all day about it. I'm not going to, but thank you all, Titan Forge team and community of Smite, for making this possible and for what's going to happen after Tuesday and for hopefully every year beyond. But again, a few more updates to wrap this up because you know me, I just can't help but talk. First off, we have a little esports to talk about, so that'll be really cool. So first up, August 31st and September 1st, of course we're going to do a tournament for Smite 2. Why would we not do some tournament stuff? We're going to have fun with it. So make sure y'all check that out. Again, we have the stuff on the screen. So a 24/7 closed alpha tournament. Scan the barcode if you're interested for more information or go to the Discord. But EMEA is August 31st and NA is September 1st. So again, just check them out. You know, we're getting people into the environment and we're getting people to play the game and be competitive about it, because what's more fun than playing competitively and watching these people duke it out? Beyond that, too, we have one other cool piece of information that you can look forward to tomorrow. That's Friday. So, you know, we have our casual Friday blocks, but tomorrow we have some more than casual information we're excited to share about Vegas. So a lot of cool updates we're excited for y'all to learn. You're going to have to tune in tomorrow for those, though. So mark it on your calendars and get ready, or just leave Twitch up for the next 24 hours. So now we're moving into community news. Now, this is another really exciting thing that I'm super happy to share as we launch in to Smite 2's 24/7 closed alpha 1, August 27th in the morning. We'll be having Twitch drops available for Smite 2 as well as Smite 1. So to go over the Twitch drops, for one, these are going to be category-wide. Specifically, we are going to have Legacy Gems and Smite 1 viewer points are available category-wide. So regardless of who
you don't really lose anything by watching Smite 2 instead of Smite 1.
Not a thing.
That's the main thing.
That is the main thing. You like, go watch some Smite 2. You're still earning your rewards. Don't even worry about it. So again, category-wide Legacy Gems and Smite 1 viewer points. Now, Creator Program exclusive. If you're in the Creator Program, or you've been thinking, I want to get into that Smite 2 Creator Program, we definitely encourage you to try, make content, have fun, join the community. They're amazing. And if you're in the Creator Program, you have some exclusive drops. So the first two are the God Champ title and badge. So two super cool rewards, but you'll also be able to, by watching people who are in the Creator Program, you'll be able to earn the Meltdown Soul skin for Smite 2. So specifically, you will be earning that skin that you see there for Smite 2. So, watch anybody if you want to get the free viewer points and Legacy Gems, or find somebody who's part of the Creator Program to earn the title badge and skin for Smite 2. So a lot of really cool rewards. And it is worth noting as well that the soul skin you see there is going to be a free Twitch drop for a while. So, go support a creator, watch them, enjoy the content, see Smite 2 in action. But if you don't have the time or you happen to miss this, at some point in the future, you will be able to get the Meltdown Soul skin for Legacy Gems as one of those classic Smite purchases. So if you happen to miss it, don't worry, we got it. But beyond that, go support a creator and enjoy some of the new content from the game, because there are people who I know are just so excited to get in and start making incredible Smite 2 content, and we are right around the corner from that being available all the time. But wow, I think
is that it?
I'm scared to say it, but that's it. We did it.
There's always more in the actual doc.
Oh yeah,
there's probably some things we forgot.
It's not even 5. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Hey, we're supposed to clean this up right at 5 so I can get home in time for the family and dinner, huh?
There we go. Look at that. We got AJ home for his family. And that's what Smite's all about, is family. So again,
I don't want to be evil 80s dad.
Fair enough. Thank y'all so much again for joining us for this show, for joining us on this journey, and for getting excited for Smite. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. 24/7 next week. The only way to get guaranteed access is to pick up one of those Founders Editions. We will be doing, code giveaways. You can sign up on smite2.com for code giveaways. But the
Ranked,
only way to
permanent progress, no resets.
True. Permanent progress is important.
Yeah, cosmetics are yours to own forever.
Yeah, this is like your account.
If you have Divine Legacy transfer or linking issues, make a support ticket.
Make sure
all that stuff should be functioning.
Yeah, make sure that you're playing through the Smite 2 launcher. We're not doing Smite 2 like early access. Like, the actual Smite 2 launcher will be the one to use moving forward, because we are transitioning into, like, this is Smite 2. You're building your progress. Like, we're not resetting things.
This is the game.
The game is opening for the first time, and hopefully 9 years from now in an update show, I'll probably have a cane for some reason, and I'll be like, welcome back. So, but either way, super excited. And yeah, thank y'all all so much for being here on the show. Thank you, Max, for joining us earlier, KD for saving us in the game, and for everybody who's worked on this and poured their heart and soul into it for the last, I don't know, year and a half or more. So we're excited to see y'all on Tuesday, excited to hear what you have to say, and excited to play some Smite 2 moving into the future. Thanks, everyone, and goodbye.
Made in Georgia. dancing all these fears away. Don't need you. Dancing all these tears away. No time for bad love, bad love, bad love. I'm dancing all these fears away.